Welcome to my Any Switchless beginner tutorial. Switchless used to be a challenge run where you complete the game Spongebob Squarepants Battle for Bikini Bottom without ever switching characters. So you would only be able to use Spongebob and you can never ever be Sandy or Patrick. Now, one of the main difficulties in this challenge run is the fact that you cannot do any of the boss fights because you cannot beat Robo Sandy, as you would need to switch to Patrick in one of the phases, and you cannot beat Robo Patrick because you would need to switch to Sandy in any of the phases, in one of the phases. Uh, Now, you might also think that beating Robo Spongebob is impossible because you need the cruise bubble, which you cannot obtain because you cannot get any of the power-ups from the boss fights. And you would be wrong. And that will be the climax of this tutorial. So that's only at the end that I will show you how you can beat Robo Spongebob without any of the powers. Now, naturally, this is a difficult challenge run because you need to do a lot of tricks in order to actually be able to beat the game with only SpongeBob. And this year, quite a few new tricks have been found that are even more difficult than they used to be, which makes the skill ceiling a lot higher for the challenge run. However, there have also been new tricks found that make it a bit easier to get extra spatulas, even though they are really slow. So I am going to show you the easiest route that I could come up with, and uh, in my opinion, it is not much more difficult than the any percent beginner route for speedrunning. And actually, quite a few tricks that are taught in the any percent beginner tutorial by Shift. I will be using quite a few of these tricks, so I recommend checking out a bunch of that tutorial before this one. He also explains the game mechanics in a useful detail, things like jump spacing, how you do that more efficiently than you might expect as a casual runner. So I definitely recommend checking it out. However, I will be explaining every trick such that you might be able to so that you could be able to replicate it, but in this format it is naturally more difficult to explain tricks than by actually editing. So yeah, I will mention when we get to those tricks which are taught in the any percent beginner tutorial. Anyway, one more thing I want to mention is that I am using the Dolphin emulator for GameCube to make this tutorial, and there are several reasons for that, because I can use save states to show multiple methods of getting certain objectives, and I also can like speed up the game, and I have a cheat engine so I can cheat in spatulas and socks, so I can skip all the grinding sections in this speedrun. And now there is actually quite a bit of grinding. If I recall correctly, you will be grinding for a total of like 20 minutes in this run. But uh, yeah, uh, it's unavoidable in the beginner route. However, I will show you methods to get more spatulas which are more difficult, which you can use to replace the grinding, because the grinding spatulas are actually some of the slowest spatulas. Anyways, let's get into this. So there are three major exploits that you need to know to do this challenge run. So the first one is Krabs duping, which allows you to duplicate some of the Mr. Krabs patch, which you get for paying shiny objects. The next one is SDJ, which stands for Spongeball Displacement Jumps. And the final one is VMS, which stands for Vertical Momentum Storage. So SDJs allow you to shoot into the air. You can jump extremely high with these. And VMS allows you to take those jumps into other levels. So you can shoot into the air in any level with a VMS. However, VMS is pretty difficult, and I do not deem VMS beginner friendly. So I will show you a route which does not use VMS. However, I think anyone should be able to learn VMS, even though not get it consistently. So I will show you how you can use VMS to save a lot of time in a few places and even get certain spatulas that you cannot get without VMS, which allows you to replace other spatulas. SDJ, Spongeball Displacement Jump, I deem beginner friendly. I think it is similar in difficulty to cruise boosting, so it takes a lot of practice to really get it consistently, but I think anyone should be able to do SDJs. So yeah, SDJs will be the most difficult trick in the run. We will do quite a few of them though. So let me start by explaining how you can do Krabs duping. So let's get out of the pineapple real quick. So here I'm using my dolphin tools to get out of the pineapple. So every trick I will be showing is possible on every console, by the way. Okay, so first things first, do not talk to Mr. Krabs in Hub 1, because that will soft lock Krabs duping. Krabs duping has a lot of these moments where you need to do the right thing, and otherwise you will soft lock. So Krabs duping is really simple. You just have to do a certain number of things in a certain order, and everything is trivially easy. However, if you mess up the order, then you soft lock Krabs duping, and you will not be able to finish the run with the route that I'm teaching. So it's very important to pay attention to which order you do everything. So the Krabs duping we're going to do requires us to first go to Hub 3, Mr. Krabs. So let me get there real quick. I'm going to use some cheat percent strats to get there as quick as possible. There we go. So now we're at Hub 3, Mr. Krabs, and we talk to him, and then we enter the Krusty Krab. And now we're just going to do the Krusty Krab challenge. So destroy all the robots. There we go, then we go back to Bikini Bottom. And now Mr. Krabs will be in Hub 3. And you can actually buy spatulas from Mr. Krabs in Hub 3. Even though we haven't completed the boss fights yet. So this is what the developers did not intend you to do, which allows Krabs duping. So now let me get enough shiny objects to buy all of Mr. Krabs spatulas. So let me speed up the process real quick. Alright. And now we talk to Hub 1, Mr. Krabs. So remember that I told you to not talk to Hub 1, Mr. Krabs. So you need to not talk to Hub 1, Mr. Krabs until you have bought all the spatulas from Hub 3, Mr. Krabs. And now you need to talk to Hub 1, Mr. Krabs. And it is important to keep in mind that you need to have less than 3,000 shiny objects when you do this. So there we go. And then you will see that he will tell you that you need 3,000 shiny objects to trade. And this initiates the Krabs duping. And now you can duplicate spatulas. Except that Hub 1 Mr. Krabs does not actually give you the spatulas when you pay the shiny objects now. However, Hub 2 Mr. Krabs does. So the next step is to go and get the Poseidon spatula, so that we can talk to Hub 2 Mr. Krabs. Now I will be using a skip here, that I will teach in a moment. this skip will be used in the route, by the way, so we'll get to that when we're ready.
Hey,
Alright. And now we can talk to Hub 2, Mr. Krabs. And now we can actually buy the rest of the crab spatulas. However, the way you do this is every time you buy the next crab spatula, you need to not have enough shinies for the next crab spatula. So the first one costs 3000 shiny objects and the next one costs 3500 shiny objects. So we need to make sure that when we buy the first one, we need to have less than 3500 shiny objects remaining. So the maximum number of shinies we can have is 6000. Oh, that's spatulas. Is 6499. And this is the perfect number of shiny objects, because now we can buy the first one. And then we have less than 3500 remaining for the next one. And now we can collect like one more shiny object. And then we can buy the next one. And now we need to collect 4000 shiny objects before we can collect the next one. So we would have to go somewhere else to grind these shinies. Now I'll show you what happens if you mess this up. So let's have enough shiny objects for 2. So now we buy this one. And if we now talk to Mr. Krabs, this is the text that he says when you have bought all of his spatulas. So now you cannot dupe anymore. So keep in mind that every time you buy a shiny object spatula, you need to not have enough for the next one. Now, I will mention every time that we grind shiny objects up to which number of shiny objects you want to grind, and I will also mention the precision. So for every number of shiny objects we grind, you need to have enough shiny objects to buy everything that we want to buy, but you also need to not have too many, so you suffer Krabs duping. Now, I think that's all I wanted to say about that. So next up is Spongeball Displacement jumps. And I recommend practicing this trick right here. So all you need to do a Spongeball Displacement jump is a sponge ball and a moving platform. So first thing you need to know is how to do Spongeball storage. Now notice, if I walk into the Spongeball, I will immediately transform into the Spongeball. However, when I double jump into the Spongeball, the game first lets your landing animation finish and then you become the Spongeball. And this means that during the landing animation you can actually jump again. Now do note that if I walk, then the landing animation will be cancelled. So if I now walk, then I do become the Spongeball. But this allows me to become the Spongeball wherever I want. So now we can become the Spongeball on top of this moving platform. Now I have to wait for the moving platform, of course. Alright.
Hey, Patrick.
Oh.
Nice time. Hey, Patrick.
Oh, well, let's try that again. Alright. And now notice what happens if I exit the Spongeball. As you can see, I teleported all the way over here, even though I was over here. So what happens is, when you become the Spongeball on a platform, it remembers where you become the Spongeball, and then if the platform moves and you exit the Spongeball, the amount that the platform has moved is how much you will move in the first frame after you exit the Spongeball. Now this can be quite a lot. So if you have a platform that moves up, you can move up a lot in a single frame. Now how do we get a huge jump out of this? Well, you simply jump on the frame that you get displaced. So the inputs for this are pressing B to exit the Spongeball, and on the exact frame after that you need to press A to jump. So let me show you. So I will press B and then A. Okay, and I messed it up, of course, why not? I don't know what's happening. Okay, never mind. That's it. I just messed up the timing. Now, as you can see, this is quite difficult to get used to. You need to press these buttons on consecutive frames, which is kind of tricky. But if you can actually see what you did wrong if you mess up. So as you can see, now I just fall out, which means that I pressed jump too early. And now you see that I just jump, which means that I pressed the jump button too late. And only when you press them on the right moment. Whoa, this is not going very well. Anyways, when you press them at the right moment, you actually shoot into the air. So that's a Spongeball displacement jump. And the next thing I need to explain is vertical momentum storage, which allows you to take a Spongeball displacement jump into another level. And the inputs for this are also pretty simple, but hard to execute. So, first of all, you need to have the same setup as a Spongeball displacement jump, but then when you exit the Spongeball, you need to pause the game on the frame after that. And then you can warp to any level, and if you then jump on the first frame that you enter the level, that will give you a vertical momentum storage jump. So let me just show that off real quick. So what I did there is I pressed B to exit the Spongeball and then pause the game on the frame after that. At least I hope I did that correctly. And now I warp to any other level. And then if I manage to jump on the first frame, yeah, there we go. I did set it up right. Okay, so if you jump on the first frame after the setup, so you first do the setup, then warp, and then if you jump on the first frame, you shoot into the air. Now this might seem pretty difficult, and it is. However, there are methods to make this easier. So first of all, in Dolphin, in GameCube and PS2, the frame that you need to jump is actually really long. It is kind of buffered, so you have a fifth of a second to press jump instead of a 60th of a second. So that makes it doable. It is still very difficult though. So one thing that a lot of people do to time this is they use their life split timer to like calculate at what time they need to press jump, and because the loads are consistent, so if you know where you're warping, then you know how long you need to wait, and you can use life split to time it. It's still pretty difficult though. So, and on Xbox you can't just wing it. Like on Xbox you actually have 1/60th of a second. So you might think, oh well, it's probably really difficult on Xbox then, much more difficult. However, on Xbox there is another trick you can do, which makes it a little bit slower to do. It takes a little bit more time, so it is not optimal. However, it is a lot easier. So what you can do is you can unplug your controller while you're warping, and then when you enter the level, the game will automatically pause on the first frame. And what you can do then is you can reconnect your controller and then press B to exit the pause menu and then A to jump on the frame after that, and then you still successfully perform a VMS. Now that's all I wanted to say about the three major tricks. So now it's time to talk about the route. So first of all, I have life split on the left of the screen now, which shows the route. And as you can see, every split ends with brackets with some numbers in between. And most of them have two numbers, which stand for amount of spatulas and the amount of socks that you need to have when you end that split. So the first one is save game glitch with 2,1, which means that we collect 2 spatulas and 1 sock and then we split. Okay. Some of them have 3 numbers. As you can see, the bottom one, grinding, has a 3rd number, and that one stands for the number of shiny objects that you need to have. Okay. So one more thing to mention about the route is that I collect 76 spatulas before entering the chum bucket. And the reason for this is that I think there are 76 spatulas which are beginner friendly. And I do not know which one of these is the most reasonable to exclude. So I will leave that up to you. So you can choose any spatula that you dislike the most, or just pick the slowest spatula if you want to be hardcore and get the fastest route. So choose any spatula and remove it from the route. And there are actually also a few spatulas that I will show you how you can do them, but they are not in the route because I think they're too difficult for a beginner route. But I still show you how to do them, and then if you want to do them, then you have to come up with which spatula you want to remove instead of that one. The same holds for socks. So I do collect exactly 50 socks in the route. And that means you get 5 Patrick spatulas. But I will also show you a few alternative socks which you can get, which I think are kind of tricky and make the route unnecessarily difficult. But even though they are really fast. So I will show you how to do them, but if you don't want to do them, don't do them. And if you want to do them, then I will also tell you which socks are the slowest and which you want to remove for them. I think that's all there is to say. So let's start a run. Okay, so you need to create a save file. That's necessary for one of the tricks that we're going to do. So select a save file for your run, and I need to overwrite one. So yeah, that's how we start. And then I need to have global hotkeys on 1 second. And then we start the timer. Okay, so a lot of things in the route will be quite obvious. So what I'm doing now and why I'm doing this is quite obvious, I hope. So I will not be explaining everything I'm doing. I will only explain the tricks that you need to do. And maybe some difficult jumps and stuff. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is disable the hand. And this is taught in the 90% beginner tutorial. So watch that if you want to have a very good tutorial. But I'll still explain it. So it's very simple. You just stand over here with this camera angle, and then you press A when the hand drags you over the taxi pad. And now you go there again, and then you wait again for the hand to pick you up, and then you enter Jellyfish fields, and this disables the hand. Anytime you enter a loading zone with hands on the screen, hands will be disabled. Hands is the name of the hand. And this allows us to go to out of bounds areas. So the spatula that we're going to collect now is actually out of bounds. However, we can still collect it because we just disabled the hand. Also worth mentioning is that you need a lot of shiny objects here and there. So this spatula is out of bounds, by the way. Okay, and now you need to pause the game and then warp to Bikini Bottom. And you need to pause the game early enough, and then the following will happen. As you can see, the save in game logo is on the bottom of my screen now. And this means that you've performed it successfully. And this is the save game glitch. So as I said, we just disabled Hans over there. But normally if Hans is disabled, you can still get grabbed by Hans over here. Like Spongebob will lay on the floor and then Hans will grab him. But now we can also do this thanks to the save in game glitch. So what I wanted to mention is that we need to get a lot of shiny objects in this run. So anytime you walk past Tikis or enemies, just hit the Tikis or enemy because the shiny objects will be worth it. Okay, so let me speed up this process real quick. This save game glitch is also taught in the Any beginner tutorial, if I recall correctly. Oh shoot. Oh no. Oh no. Now I need to do it again. I don't think I had a save state for that. Yes, okay. Very good. Let's make a save state this time. Okay, so we're just walking around here. There are some invisible barriers that we're walking around. Just take the path I'm taking, except the path that I just took, because, you know, then you fall down. Okay, so there's like this road here doesn't have collision, so you can fall down here. So don't do what I just did and just walk on the sand and grass. Just anything except for the road. Okay, so now we're going to skip to the next hub area. And this is also taught in the Any beginner tutorial. So we're doing Spongeball storage to get over here. And you just move over here. And all you want to do here is just slam into the wall and then exit and double jump onto the police station. Now this is also taught in the Any beginner tutorial, but nonetheless I will show you a few more times because this is pretty difficult to get down as a beginner. But really all you're doing, so the inputs when you have the bounce, you press B to exit the Spongeball, and then as soon as you can you press A. Now this doesn't need to be very precise, you have about a quarter of a second to press A, but the earlier the better, because otherwise you fall down quite a bit. So you press A and then A again, this just a double jump. You do need to space these jumps pretty well though. And it is also possible to ledge grab here, so there's quite a bit of leniency. I think the hardest part is actually bouncing, so you want to know where to bounce. And the best place to bounce is somewhere around here, if I remember correctly. So just go like this. And that's all there is to it. Now we just jump over this barrier, which is also pretty precise. So just time the jumps and the spin as I do. I see many people who spin too late and then you don't get there. So if you do something like this, then you don't make it. You need to get a bit of height and then spin early enough in order to make it. Okay, so that skips you to hub 3. And now we just talk to Mr. Krabs. And then don't enter the Krusty Krab, just enter the Chum bucket. Now I just noticed that I forgot to split. So when you warp to Bikini Bottom, after setting up the save game glitch, you want to split the first time. And now that we're in here, so the only reason we went here, by the way, is to get the warp to the final spatula. Now you just want to warp to Bungee. And when you warp there, you split for the second split. So that 14.54 seconds makes no sense, but I'm just gonna roll with it right now. So now we just get some socks and some spatulas. This is all pretty straightforward. So in the Any tutorial, actually it is taught to do hammer skip here, but we need a lot of socks in this category, so we are not going to do hammer skip. We're just going to collect some socks, which is a bit easier. Now that's jump on the rock is not necessary, but if I recall correctly, that is optimal. Now here we're going to jump on the jellyfish, which is kind of tight. And it's kind of a weird jump, like it looks like we're standing on nothing, but believe me, this is really consistent and you can actually just jump from this ledge down here. Now we need to get up, and the place you want to get up is move a little bit to the left, and then you can jump a little bit higher, and then you can just do a full double jump. So this is really not that difficult, but all you need to do is a double jump spin, and then jump over here and jump up. And now we're going to drown ourselves as we collect this sock to warp back to this checkpoint over here. That just saves like a second or something. There is a faster strat, but it requires a frame perfect jump, which I'm not going to cover in this tutorial. By the way, moving so far to the left there avoids a few a few text box triggers. And if you jump spin there real quick, then you can hit the button before the duplicatotron explodes. Alright, and then we split again. And now comes a really fun segment. We're just going to walk a lot. So first we go down the slide and collect the socks. Alright. And this one sock is actually really slow, because the way we're going to get out of bounds is by jumping from the slide. So we need to go down the slide again. So let me just do that real quick. Okay, so this is how you get out of bounds. You want to move into the wall, and then when you get off the slide, you want to double jump. And you actually have a quarter of a second to react to falling off the slide. So what you don't want to do is jump before you go off the slide, because you won't make it. So you really want to first go off the slide and then do a double jump. And this makes that sock on the pillar really slow, because you need to go down the slide twice. So that's one that you want to replace potentially. Now there is a way to make that sock really fast. So let me show that. So you can do a damage boost. Oh, wait. So before that, you need to jump into the goo to skip this cutscene real quick. And then we go to the left. This might take me a few tries, because this is kind of difficult. But you can damage boost to the out of bounds from here. And you use the duplicatotron. And the idea is, well, let me just show it first. There we go. So the inputs there are, first you hit the duplicatotron, and then you do a bash slam, and you want to do the slam on your apex, like as high as possible. And then when you slide off the button, there will be about 15 frames, probably a few less, but somewhere close to 10 to 15 frames, on which you can input a bash, and the bash will make you able to get over here. So that's the fastest way if you want to collect that sock. So let me show you one more time. And there we go. It's really not that hard, but if you don't want to do it, you can just jump off the slide like I showed you before. And now we walk. So this is the most exciting part of the speedrun. Only grinding can beat this in excitement. Okay. So if you go to the right, you can just do the same walk, but you come from the right. And now we need to get back inside, and you simply ledge grab up here. So if you look carefully, you can see kind of like an arc there, an angle. That's the word I was looking for. There's a bit of an angle there, and you can ledge grab into that angle. It's kind of finicky, but it's really not that bad. So now, before we collect that spatula up there, we actually want to warp out of here. So the reason we do this is to get a checkpoint. So first go over here and then go back. And this creates a checkpoint over here. So if I die now, then I will spawn back here. And that's the only way to get that checkpoint. And the reason we want that checkpoint is because this is kind of finicky. This will probably take you a few tries. What you want to do is you want to jump like this. So let me show you that one more time. So what's happening is there's a ledge there that you can barely jump off, but it's really finicky. Like if you don't have the exact right angle, then you will not make it. As you can see, you don't always get a jump out of this. So this takes some getting used to, and and as far as I know, it isn't fully consistent, even if you have the right angle. So I really recommend getting the checkpoint. As far as I know, getting the checkpoint doesn't even lose that much time, because we're going to get this sock anyways, which lets us drown. So the checkpoint saves time anyways. So now we just hit this one. Oh, I messed up. So now you just hit the Duplicatotron and then damage boost into the sock. So this is pretty simple. You just want to be at the right place and then bash slam. And then you can double jump spin to give yourself extra time to collect the sock. Now, this is also the reason why you want to get this checkpoint. But as far as I know, I think getting the checkpoint isn't optimal if you get everything first try. But yeah, really just get the checkpoint anyways. Okay. Now we're going to the... Oh, I forgot to split again. So when you exit and go here for the first time, you want to split as you enter the gate. And then after you get the spatula and the sock and you go here again, you want to split again. And now we're in the grinding split. Okay. So just walk over here. Here you want to watch out for the kill sand, so don't stay on the sand for too long. And then we're going to jump up here with the Tikis. If you don't want to do these Tiki jumps, then you can just take the casual route and go all the way from the right around the rocks to here. And now this is where we're going to grind our shiny objects. So this stack of Tikis gives you a pretty good combo. And the great thing about this place is that there's a checkpoint in this cave. So you want to walk to about over here. And then drown yourself. And then you spawn back over here. So you can repeat this motion. And this is the fastest known method of grinding in this category. So we'll be back here if we grind for duplication spats. But for now, we just need to get up to 41,000 shiny objects over here. So obviously that takes quite a long time. So one thing to mention that makes this slightly faster that you can do is you can do a damage boost to drown yourself more quickly. So let's see if I can get it. Okay, I kinda messed up because you don't want to bash there. But you want to use that stone. Okay, messed it up again. It's kind of finicky, so you want to practice this quite a bit. Luckily, there is a lot of grinding, so practicing is is something that will inevitably happen if you just try this a bunch. But that's the idea. So double jump slam, and then if you have the right location, then you can get a jump out of the damage boost on the rock. There we go, finally. So I just had to look for the location again. But if you're in the right spot, then it's not that hard. There we go. Nice. So that's something you can do to speed up the grinding. And it also makes it a lot more interesting. So even if you don't get this, I still recommend just trying it every time. Because first of all, it makes the grinding less boring. And second of all, you you're basically just practicing the trick during your run, which is, if you miss it, it doesn't even lose that much time compared to not even trying. As you can see, you can still just walk into the goo. So yeah, I recommend doing this for anyone. Anyways, I'm just going to cheat right now. So let me see here. How many shinies does this give? Okay, so let me cheat in all the shinies real quick. So you want to get to 41,000 shiny objects. So let me get up to here. And then the last time that you die, and when you know that there's only one more round left, you want to split. And then we exit in this direction. And now we're going to climb up here. And you just bash onto the Tiki like that. So just time this to bash when the Tiki is coming for you. And then you can just jump up here. It's really simple. And remember to hit as many things along your way to get shiny objects. And such that you don't need to grind as much. All the shiny counts do assume that you hit as much stuff as you can along your way. So this jump is kind of tight, but if you do the jump spacing correctly, so you walk off enough before you jump, then it's really not that hard. And now we jump to the left. This is all just casual stuff. Well, actually that jump is not casual, but it's still pretty casual. And now we're going to go to the King Jellyfish. Oh, by the way, notice that when I grab the spatula, the game froze for a few seconds. And that's because I'm playing on GameCube. I don't know if this is the case for PlayStation as well, but that's part of the save game glitch, that we have to have autosave enabled. But autosave on GameCube causes you to get a huge lag spike every time you collect a spatula. So to prevent that time loss, you want to remove the memory card, which you can do with, let me show you. So here we have Dolphin, and you just want to press config, and then in the configuration menu you want to go to GameCube, and then here you remove the memory card like that. If you have an actual GameCube, you can just physically remove the memory card, of course. Okay, and that's the way you can remove those lag spikes. So I forgot to do that, but obviously you want to do that as soon as you have done the walk out of bounds. So like when you enter the Chum bucket after that walk, that's probably the best moment to remove the memory card, because you have a few moments to spare. Okay, now we're going to fight King Jellyfish. Okay, I just noticed that I messed up the splitting again. So, I did tell you when to split for the grinding. I just split for the wrong part. And then you want to split again when you enter this area for the mesas. And now we're going to fight King Jellyfish. Okay. Now there are actually strategies to do this quickly. So what you want to do is you want to wait a bit and then hit the laser beam. Or laser, I don't know what it is, electric beam. And that makes him cancel his animation more quickly. So you wouldn't want to do that twice. So yeah, that just makes the fight a little bit faster. Pretty simple. It probably doesn't even save that much time. So if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to risk it. Also note that I just didn't hit the Thunder Tikis because that would kill me. So don't hit the Thunder Tikis on the slide if you do that trick to speed up the King Jellyfish fight. And this is what you get when you remove the memory card, by the way. So now we don't have a leg spike anymore. Okay, and then we just warp to the start. And we collect the spatula for defeating the King Jellyfish. And now it is time to go to downtown. But before that, we need to collect the following sock. So here we split, and then we get the library sock. Now this is also a very slow sock actually, so if you're looking for socks to remove, this is a very valid candidate. So here we just jump on the door and hit the button. And yeah. Okay. This game is very difficult, okay? Now we warp to the Krusty Krab. Split. And remember to also get the sock in here. Now this is actually also a sock that is really slow. So if you're looking for socks... Oh, I forgot to hit this and this. Oh. Oh. So if you're looking for socks to remove, this is also a very good candidate. I need to be careful here. There we go. So just destroy everything to get the sock. And there we go. And then we warp to Bikini Bottom. Now we're going to buy all of Mr. Krabs' spatulas. However, there's also a way to overlap two spatula animations, which saves 6 seconds. So what you want to do here is you want to press B, then R, and then B, and then B. And now you can jump into the spatula and then buy the first grab spatula at the same time. And if you don't do the setup as I just showed, then you will not actually skip the spatula animation. But as you can see, I only got one spatula animation, even though I also bought a crab spatula. So now we just buy the rest of them. Notice, by the way, that the spatula counter is not going up. That's just part of the way how duping works. So don't be afraid when that happens to you. Alright, that's about it. And now we go to Dream. And all we're going to do here is collect the bouncing ball spatula. For now. We'll be here later again. So this is a bit of a tight jump, but you can just double jump into this spatula. It's a pretty tight one though. If you don't want to do that, what you can do... Oh no, you can't do it casually. Yeah, so you just gotta learn this double jump. There's also a faster strat here. What you can do here is you can wait for the block to come back. And if you jump on the block at the right time, you can actually get a momentum jump up to here. And then you can, again, double... Oh, well, okay, I missed that. Okay, so that's the faster strat. You can also do a one frame jump, which is even faster, but that's even more difficult. If you actually want to practice this strat, so this one, I recommend listening to music cues you want to use to do that, because it's a really precise timing to get that one. Do I not have a save state up there? Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, I got it again. Alright. And of course I forgot that you need to split when you enter Dream. And now we're going to warp to the pineapple again, and that's when we split for that one. And now, if you remember Krabs duping, we talk to Mr. Krabs again. And now we just climb Squidward's house. So that's the fastest way. I think the easiest way is to do it like this, but okay. And you can ledge grab up there. I think that's what most beginners do, because the angles are not very precise, and then you can just jump up here. So the fastest strat is to do this, but it's really finicky, and the other strat is less finicky, and then you can just grab the spatula. Okay, and now it's time to enter downtown. Now you can just enter like normally and like this, but you can skip one of the animations by going up here and then jumping into here. And as you can see, that skipped an animation, so we could enter it immediately. Do keep in mind that you do not want to move towards the taxi pad on your first jump. So if you go like this, then you mess up and the hand will grab you, which means that you lose quite a bit of time because you have to re-disable the hand. So the first jump you need to not move, and by your double jump you want to move towards the taxi pad like this, and then spin, and then you make it. It's really not that hard, but yeah. And then we split. And it only saves a little bit of time, so if you don't want to risk enabling the hand, then just do it casually.
Downtown Bikini Bottom.
Alright, now we're going to do Tikis Go Boom. Now this is pretty straightforward, but do keep in mind that we want to get as many shiny objects as possible. So we want to do this quickly to get all the combos. So you want to hit these. You want to hit these two as as fast after one another as possible to get the Super Ultra Mega Monster combo. And we want to hit this one to get another combo. And then the final one doesn't allow for a combo, so just hit it. And now do not collect the spatula, just warp it back here, because we're going to do this a few more times, because we need to grind for shiny objects. So let's go again. And the second time you do this, you want to do the same cycle, but you want to actually collect the spatula as you're going to the second Tiki stack. And this is what you're going to repeat. So every subsequent time you want to do the same thing, except for collecting the spatula, of course. And you want to do that until you have 8,500 shiny objects. So I'm just going to cheat those in again. And when you have 8,500 shiny objects, the last time you warp back here, you want to split. You want to split, and then we're going to do the Sandy's moves spatula. Without warping to Sandy, of course. And remember to hit as many Tikis on the way. So here you wanna jump around this, but you want to avoid getting grabbed by the hand. So keep that in mind, and you want to jump before you get into that animation, or else you will get grabbed by the hand. So jump before the trigger, and then you have a few 2 seconds, I believe, that you can be in this state before you do the second jump. And now we're going to do our first SDJ. So this is where we do the first Spongeball displacement jump. We're going to use this Spongeball, and that Tiki stack is going to be our moving platform. So jump on top of here, and then get off of there. And then the platform has moved up. And the fact that it just exploded doesn't matter. If you now exit the Spongeball, you will still displace upward. So we can use that to do a Spongeball displacement jump. And the double jump there is just to make us descend more quickly. Because if you don't double jump, then you will shoot way too high and you will have to wait for a very long time until you actually get here to grab the spatula. So yeah, that's how you get the spatula. Just do a Spongeball displacement jump. It might be worth noticing that actually becoming the Spongeball on top of the Tiki stack is kind of finicky. So let me show that one more time. So all you want to do is you want to just go in circles, and then it's basically pretty easy. So yeah, that's all there is to that. It does take a little bit of practice to be able to do that though, so don't feel bad if you can't get it. I will show a few alternative strats for this later, but the fact that you need to do an SDJ is pretty much unavoidable. There are other strats, but they're more difficult, so just do the SDJ. I did make a save state, right? Okay, maybe not. Anyways, then we just do this again. And then we just enter the rooftops and split. Now this split is called rooftop because we only visit one of the rooftops. And it's this one. So we first just get the sock over here. And then we get the spatula. And there's actually an invisible wall in front of the spatula. So if you just try to jump there, then you won't make it, as you can see. So even if I try to jump and spin. However, that invisible wall only spawns if you're at a certain height. So if you double jump before you're at that height, then you can do... Okay, so that was too late. So if you double jump too early enough, and then do a spin and another double jump, then you can actually get over here and grab the spatula. And now we just leave the rooftops, and that's all there is to rooftops. The rest of rooftops is possible with Spongebob only, but it's slow and it's extremely difficult, so it's not worth it. And it's only RTA viable on PAL actually, so don't even bother with that. Okay, and now we're entering the Sea Needle. And then we split. So there is a certain cycle that you want to meet here if you want to do it optimally. So there is no need to do this optimally. If you do this casually and just try to get it as fast as you can, that's completely fine. But I'll show you the fastest cycle anyways. And there's really not anything to say here except for listen to music cues to when I jump towards the hook. Okay, I messed that one up. Let me try this again. Wait, I did have a save state after that, right? Okay, maybe not. So yeah, hit the Tikis in the order that I'm doing, and use the music cues to determine when you jump towards the bungee. Wow, okay. That was GameCube's fault, by the way. For some reason, every now and then, GameCube just decides to give you a double jump, even though you only press A once. So there I use a music cue to, okay, and I still still messed it up. But I use a music cue to determine when to jump to the bungee there. And there we go, and then there's one more bungee. But there's really no need to do this optimally, of course. It's just the fastest way to do it. Okay. I do not know what's happening. Jesus. Well, that's the optimal cycle anyways, so it's pretty difficult. And then we get the spatula and leave. So there's actually one more sock that we're going to get in the downtown street. So we want to exit the sea needle this way and then just walk over here to the floating platforms. To get this sock. This is actually also one of the most slowest socks, obviously. So if you're looking for socks to replace, this is a very valid option for that. Now, one more thing I want to mention is that there is another sock in here which is actually pretty fast, but which I didn't showcase yet. So let me show how you can get that one. So the idea is you do Tikis go boom and get the sock in the fallen building. And then you warp back to end of the road. And then you do this challenge over here. And then you go skip the cutscene. And then that sock on that building is what we're going to collect. Yes, so this is here we're going to use Spongeball storage. And we're going to store the momentum from the trampoline. So you just want to walk off this bottle here and then move towards the trampolines. And if you do it correctly, you will get that bounce, and this actually stores the bounce, so when you exit, you will actually shoot into the air. And you can use the arrow to get a bit more height, and that's the fastest way to get this sock. So it's actually a pretty fast sock. So one that you can use to replace another one. However, if you get this sock, by the way, there's also another way to get this sock. So if you don't want to do the Spongebob storage method, you can actually just walk around this way. Wait, no, that's unnecessary. You can jump on this door onto here. And then this is a pretty tight jump. You can also do it with a jump spin jump. I think that's a little bit easier to do it with a jump spin jump. And that's another way to get the sock. And it's still pretty fast, so if you're comfortable with doing that and always getting it, then sure, go ahead and do that, because it's a pretty fast sock. And the reason it's fast is because it's also a fast way to get the floating platform sock afterwards. But this is only fast if after getting the floating platform sock, you set up VMS from here. So remember that there is an alternative way to get up to the Sandy's Move spatula. Well, this is it. So you can set up VMS with these platforms, or as SDJ, sorry. Set up SDJ with these platforms over here. So you can become Spongebob on the lowest point, and then when the platform is at its highest, you can do a Spongebob displacement jump. And then if you double jump at the right height, which I think I did, then you don't need to wait very long to get over here. So that's the fastest way to get these 2 socks. And if you think setting up SDJ over there is easier, which is pretty reasonable because getting on these Tikis is kind of finicky, then you can also just go over there, and the fastest way to do that is doing it like this, I believe. So you can do this casually, and then you can use this to get over here if you want to set up the SDJ from here instead. I think that's all there is to say about downtown. Let me see if I still have... I think, yeah, this is correct. Okay, now we're going to Spongebob Dream again. So, yeah, over here and split. And now we're going to do super bounce skip. So, just climb these platforms. Actually, we're not going to do super bounce skip. You can just buy this clam over here, and it allows you to get up there. So this is the casual way to do this. However, this is really slow in this category, not only because you have to watch the cutscene there, but also because you have to buy the clam, which costs 1,000 shiny objects, which is obviously a big time loss in this category, because it means about a little more than 1 extra grind for Tikis Go Boom. So if you can learn super bounce skip, that will save you a lot of time. So let me briefly explain how you do super bounce skip. So this is taught in the Any Beginner tutorial. So I recommend watching that to watch to see a good tutorial for this trick, but I'm still going to give a short explanation how you do this trick. So the input you're going to do here is you're going to jump to this block. So that all went pretty fast, obviously, but you can jump on the side of the block, and it's really important that you anticipate this jump. You don't react to the fact that you can jump, but you know when to jump and you jump on the right moment. And then you need to do a double jump without analog input, because if you're moving forward during the double jump, then you will hit the spike. Let's see if I can show that. So if you hold forwards while you're doing the double jump, then you will hit the spike. So you want to hold forwards after you reached the maximum height of your double jump. And that's about all there is to say about that. Maybe one more thing. If you can't reach that one anymore, then you can still get this one. So that's a safer option, and it always works. But I'm going to assume for this tutorial that you just buy the clam, because it's a lot easier and there are more than enough hard tricks in this run. So if you buy the clam, if you do the skip, by the way, then you have to take that into account when you're grinding in Tikis Go Boom. So you want to reduce the amount of shinies you need there by 1,000. And yeah, so I'm going to assume that you do buy the clam. And then we're entering Squid Stream. And we're just going to do all of this casually. So there are tricks in this, and I will teach them. But first, maybe it's actually not necessary to show you how you do this casually. So one thing to mention is that you have the hand disabled. So if you fall down, you will not spawn at a checkpoint, even though if you have one, you will just fall forever. So you have to do everything here in one go, and otherwise you lose a lot of time. But yeah, just doing it casually is still not very hard. Now here is one skip you can do, which is really finicky, and I don't recommend this to beginner runners, but you can jump on the bottom of this trumpet like that. So that's one thing you can do, and it skips all of this. So that's quite a bit that you're skipping. So even if you miss it twice, I think, then you still save time with this, but it's really, really finicky. This jump is really precise where you need to go. So I don't recommend this if you're just starting out with this speedrun. And otherwise you just do all of that there. So yeah. Okay, so here's one more thing to mention. That sock, the easiest way to get that sock is obviously to just get the sock and jump down and then do all of that again. But you can prevent jumping down and you can actually get it and then get back on the tambourine. So let me show you that once. So it's pretty difficult. So I don't know if I would recommend that, because if you fail then you have to restart the level. But it is an option. And it makes getting the sock a lot faster, obviously. So then here you want to just jump across these nodes towards the next one. However, you can do another trick here. So let me just show you that once and blow your mind. There we go. That's the way, that's the faster way to get over here. So what's happening there is when the node goes in the other side, it will teleport over to here. And if you're standing on the node while it teleports over here, then you teleport with the node. So the node will be inside here, so you will be pushed out of there to go over to there. So you have to react to it and jump up to this platform. And I think you have 0.25 seconds to react to that, which is pretty doable. So it is worth practicing, I guess, but it's really not that hard. So let me just show you one more time. There we go. That's it. That's the fastest way to do that. But you can just jump across the nodes if you don't want to do that. And then the rest is just casual. And I forgot to split, obviously. So when you enter Squid Stream, you want to split. And now we're going to leave Squid Stream, and then we split again. There we go. And then we're going to buy this clam and go to the Krusty Krab. And now we're this is just something that you're going to do casually. There are speedrun tricks and I will show you them. But I recommend for beginners to just do this casually, because all the speedrun tricks are pretty difficult. So let me just briefly explain the way this works. Every time you hit a robot, there are 3 types of robots first of all. You have the fathers, the triplets, and the oil bots, and slicks. And every one of them has a duplicatotron. So whenever you hit or whenever you defeat one of the robots, one of the platforms for that robot, as you can see, will move down, so you can jump on it. And if you've beaten enough of one robot type, then you can jump up to the duplicatotron. And so now I've defeated 3, and if I do one more, then the tomato will also move over here. And then I can jump to the duplicatotron and destroy it. And the goal is to destroy all of them and then destroy the robots. Now, actually, when you have only 3, you can still make this by doing a momentum jump here. So, let me show you that. There we go. You can jump up here like that. It's pretty risky, and if you fail it, then you have to restart the level. So I don't know if I would recommend it, but it isn't that hard. You just need to be able to react to getting a good bounce. And I don't quite know how to get a good bounce consistently, but yeah, that's one fastest strat. The fastest strat I will show you now. The fastest strat is really cool, but it's really difficult as well. So you need to warp to this level for this strat. And you first move over here, and then we're going to use this father, jump on him, and jump on the bottom of the burger, the bun. So that's pretty difficult. And after that, you want to jump over here and do it with this father again. So that's all pretty difficult to get down. So I don't think I would recommend that to beginner runners, especially because now you need to get the final duplicated Tron, for which you need to do the following damage boost. And if you miss this damage boost, then you can't hit this duplicated Tron like this. So you would have to actually defeat the oil robot. By the way, you need to get this sock. Don't forget to get this sock, especially if you're doing it casually. Don't forget to get this sock. But if you miss this one, you can't do the fodder trick over here. So you would have to actually defeat 5 oil bots. And the problem is that the only way to defeat the oil robots without losing health is by shooting fodders into them. Because otherwise I have to do this. And you only have a limited number of health and a limited number of fodders. So you really need to watch out for that. And one more thing, let's see, I had a save state for this. If you damage boost off of this one, then you can get a frame perfect jump. So I absolutely don't recommend practicing this too much. But if you get a frame perfect jump, then you don't need to do the second fodder setup. So I got the frame perfect jump, but I missed landing on the burger. So that's one other thing that you can do. Let's see, I did have a good save state, right? Give me a moment. Alright, this one's good enough. Okay. You need to get the right angle for this. Otherwise, yeah. So you really need to practice this a lot, by the way. This is really difficult stuff. Let me just try that again. That damage boost is pretty lenient, by the way. That's another thing I want to mention is if you hit the oil butt while it's shooting at you, so like this, then you always kill them in only one hit. The same if they are laughing at you. So if you get hit, then they will start laughing at you, and if you hit them while they're laughing at you, then you hit them, you kill them in one hit. So normally you need 3 hits, that way you get them insta kill. Okay, and then we split. And now we just buy this clam. Wait, yeah, so now we buy this clam. And that allows us to get crosshair. Because this block only spawns when you buy the clam. And then we just get the Patrick spatula. And the Dreamscape spatula over here. Oh. Wait. Ah, there we go. This is the best I can do apparently. Let me try this again. And that's all there is to Dream. However, there is a lot more time to save in Dreamscape, so let me explain that. So we just bought 3 clams, and I've already explained that you can use super bounce to skip one of the clams, and you can also skip the other 2 clams actually. So let me show you how you do that. For that, let me warp over here. So this is called oil skip. This is also teached in the Any Beginner tutorial, so I recommend watching that instead of this tutorial for that one. And this this is what you do. So you can do a damage boost to get over here. So let me explain how you set that up. So first of all, the location here, you need to be... Okay, let me just get rid of... What the heck was that? There we go. You want to stand in... This position is perfect, but you can stand like here, or... It is not... It's not very precise where you need to stand. But the inputs you then do, so you first wait for the oil bot to shoot at you, for which there is a sound cue I will point out in a second. And when the oil bot shoots at you, you want to move forward just a bit. I think that's a little bit too much, maybe that will be good, but something like this. Then you want to do a full jump. This is very important, you need to do a full jump to get enough speed. So a full jump and then a slam at the maximum height. And then you will get boosted in that direction. So let me go over that one more time. So you stand still, you wait for him to shoot, and you go forwards, full jump, slam. And then when you get hit away from here, because you move off of the ledge, so let me just show this real quick by the way. So because you kind of slide off of the ledge as you get boosted, that gives you a few more frames on which you can bash, like that. So if you slide off of something, then you have a few frames on which you can bash. And that's what we're doing with this trick. So I just smash the I just mash the Y button to get the bash. But you can also time it if you want to get used to timing it. And that's oil skip. So when you then get this spatula, you then want to get the Patrick spatula. And after this, what you want to do is you want to go to... So the final clam to skip is the one we use to go to Krusty Krab. And you can skip that as follows. So you can jump on the spike right here. Let me line this up. And that way you can skip that gap. So that allows you to get to the Krusty Krab without buying any clams. And that way you can do all of SpongeBob Dream without buying any clams. Pretty cool. So let me show you that one more time and point out what I do. So at this location is where I jump. So I go to the right of the checkpoint and that's where I jump. And then I do a full double jump and no spin. And then you always land... Oh. I kind of messed up the angle there. So let me be more specific actually. So you want to... Every spike has its own hitbox. So you want to aim for one of these 2 spikes at the end. So this one or this one. And I usually aim for the left one. And then it always lines you up perfectly if you jump at the right moment. And then you just do a full double jump and then a spin to get on top of the platform. So it's important that you space the double jump to get as much distance as possible and not as much height as possible. So yeah, I think that's all there is to say about Dream. And now we're going over to Sand Mountain. But before that, there's a bunch of stuff that we need to do in Bikini Bottom. So now we split and we're going to annoy Squidward. So you can walk next to Mr. Krabs there. That's not a problem.
Stupid robots ruined a perfectly relaxing mud bath this morning, and now you show up. Can my day get any
Yeah, okay, so we want to get the sock here. By the way, you get the spatula here for jumping 10 times. And you get the sock for destroying everything. So you can but if you destroy everything, then the cutscene will play, which loses a bit of time. And you can actually jump into the spatula and destroy the last thing at the same time. So you have the spatula animation and the sock animation at the same time. So let me do that one more time. So something like that. Just try it a few times, it's not that hard. And now we're going to go to Poseidon. And we're going to do dome clip. But first we get Patrick's sock. Oh, so actually when you leave Squidward's house you want to split. And now we're going to enter the Poseidon. Okay, so this is called dome clip. And I'll explain the inputs in a moment, but really you just want to bash at the right moment when she hits you, and then you clip under the floor. So let me explain exactly what are the inputs. So first of all, you need the intro cutscene. So this cutscene, you need to finish that cutscene as soon as possible. So you just mash the A button to skip this cutscene like this. And then as you need to walk perfectly straight forward, and you need to do a single bash. And that single bash is just to make the timing work out. And then you keep walking straight forward until you hit Sandy. And when you hit Sandy, that's when you're going to line up for the clip. And the place you want to stand is this E, and then kind of like here somewhere. It's not very precise, so that's approximately where you want to stand. So let me show you that one more time. So we do a bash, and then when we get hit, we go over here. And this is approximately where you want to stand. And then when she hits you, you want to bash. And the timing for the bash is pretty precise. It's the hardest part of the trick. But you just need to practice this a few times and you'll probably get it. It's not that precise. So when you get it a few times, you'll probably get it a few times in a row very fast. It's not that hard. And that's all there is to it. So yeah. The timing of the bash is the hardest part. And now we're going back to Bikini Bottom, and that's when we split. And now we're going to go to the tree dome. And we're just doing the tree dome, mostly casually. And the fastest route is to go around to the right. The fastest known route at least. And then hit everything along your way and then go back around. So there are different routes for this depending on which power-ups you have, and this is the fastest consistent route for the powerless. And then we warp to Mr. Krabs and split. And now we're going to buy our first dupe spat. And notice, by the way, that we have less than 6,500 shinies. And if you have more than 6,500 shinies, then you do not want to buy this Mr. Krabs spat right now, because that will soft lock all of the duping. So what you want to do if you have too many shinies is you can go to the top of the hill and you can move over to this clam and you can buy this clam to get rid of 125 of your shinies. And if that's not enough, there are probably other clams that you can use, but honestly you probably won't be over by that much, and you really want to keep these shinies you keep an eye on the shinies anyway, so you want to prevent getting over 6,500. Assuming that you did everything right, you can buy one crab spat. And we're not gonna buy another one right now because we need some more shiny objects to get into the Sand Mountain slides. So remember to hit as much stuff on your way. And we enter Sand Mountain.
Sand Mountains.
And then we get this Sandman sock. And enter Guppy Mount. And then split. Now again, remember to get as many shiny objects when you're going down the slide. And also remember to actually activate the time challenge. And we also need to get all the socks on the slide, so just take the route I'm taking. There are some small skips you can do here. This skip is really easy. And this skip is a bit more difficult. On Xbox it's not that difficult, but on GameCube you really want to watch out with that skip, because if you set it up too early, then you will get hit. Oh, well that time it didn't get hit, but you will still risk getting hit by the chuck. That chuck is really good at aiming to get you out of the air, as you can see. So you really want to manipulate the chuck to shoot somewhere else if you're on GameCube. If you're on Xbox, this is a really easy skip and you can just do this. And if you don't want to do the skip, then just don't do the skip. And here you want to fall off pretty low, by the way, because there's a purple shiny. And here you want to hit all the robots to get the best combo. This is all just to save a bit of time, by the way, because it makes the grinding, so you need to grind less. Now here you want to watch out, because as we've collected all the shinies, we've lost almost all of our health. So what you can do if you're scared is you can just get the checkpoint and even get an underwear, which is next to the checkpoint. So I'll just quickly show. There's a checkpoint over here, so instead of jumping to the right immediately, you can just jump to the checkpoint in the underwear. Anyway, that's Guppy Mount. Congratulations. Now, if you're short on shinies, you can just get the shinies over here. But I assume that you don't need these, and these are take quite a few seconds. So they're not worth it if if you don't need them. Oh, and by the way, split when you leave Guppy Mount. And now we're going to enter Flounder Hill. And now we're going to do Flounder Hill. All of these slides are some of the less interesting parts of the run, because you're just going down the slide casually. At least this is one of the best parts casually, so it's not that bad. And we're still doing some of the fastest routes to go down the slides. So about that, just copy the route that I'm doing down the slide to get the fastest. Now there's another jump you can do here to save a bit of time, which is pretty cool. So you can jump like this to cross this gap, which saves quite a bit of time. Actually it saves only a little bit of time, but it is the fastest way. If you don't want to do that, then just go to the right here instead. Like this. This only loses a couple of seconds. And the rest of this is just casual. So let me just speed up the emulator actually. remember that you don't need to hit these Sandmen. Because we're not gonna get the Sandman sock, because that's actually one of the slowest socks in the game. It is pretty easy though, so if you think one sock is too difficult, you can replace it with this Sandman sock. But you would have to go down the slide twice, so I don't recommend doing that. Now there's something pretty cool you can do here, but as far as I remember, it is frame perfect. Well, maybe not. Wait, give me a sec to try this out. Oh, maybe not. I think that's possible. I think I saw someone do that once, where you can do this and get over the gate like this. All right, nice. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, so that's the fastest way to cross the gate, but you can just do this casually instead. Also, if you, it's still worth trying if you get it sometimes, because if you fail it, you can just do this anyways after that. It doesn't lose a lot of time if you try it but fail it. So it's just something cool you can do. And it's another one of those bashes off of a damage boost to slide off the ledge. So it's important that you slide off the ledge to get extra frames to bash. Actually never tried that before, to be honest, so that was pretty funny. Yeah, and then split when you leave Flounder Hill. And now we're gonna get the Frosty Bungee Spatula, but first we're gonna get this sock down here. And for the Frosty Bungee, because the hand is disabled, you can just jump down and get it. Like this. And if you fail to get it, by the way, you can back up by doing this movement over here. So that's pretty cool. I only learned that one recently as well. And then we warp to Frosty Bungee. And then we move and enter the third slide. And then we split. Alright. Oh, I forgot to activate the time challenge, of course. And then we just go down the slide. And this is another one that we just do casually mostly. As far as I know, there aren't really any big skips for this one. So let me just speed this up again. You do want to take the route that I'm taking, by the way. So here the optimal route gets a little bit strange, so you want to go left and then jump down and then jump down here. And here you want to take the left one again. There we go. And here again there is a way to skip this gate. So the first thing you can do is you can do a one frame bash if I recall correctly. So let me try that a few times. There you go. That's the fastest way to skip the gate. Another way you can skip the gate is by using the attack from the chuck. Let me try this a few times. Oh. That almost made it. Maybe I need another angle. Anyway, that's... let me try this with a different camera angle. I've never done this one as well, so... Oh. That should have made it. There we go. So that's another way to skip the gate. And that one's a bit easier than the one frame bash because it's not one frame. But you can also just do everything casually here and just hit the buttons. Oh. And there you go. So, yeah. So there are options to speed this up, but they're just options. You don't need to do that. And we're almost done here. Okay. That's all of Sand Mountain. However, I do want to mention that the last spatula, the one over here, is actually possible, but you need to do a VMS. So let me just quickly show you which one that is. It's the spatula on top of the lodge there. So what you want to do is you want to go to Bikini Bottom. And I think, yeah, I forgot to mention, when you enter Poseidon, so yeah, when you enter Poseidon, so you talk to Patrick here, and then you enter Poseidon. Before you talk to Patrick, you actually want to press this button, and the reason is that this cutscene then plays, and that cutscene is like messes up the timing of the VMS if you want to do Spongeball displacement jumps here. So if I now that I don't need to watch a cutscene, warp to this level, and then set up the VMS like this. Okay. And then set up the VMS. Or the SDJ. Then the cycle will be perfect, so I can just go on here and then do my SDJ business as usual. So yeah, so before you talk to Patrick, you want to press that button to watch the cutscene. I forgot to mention that. Anyway, when you do this SDJ setup, you can use this to VMS onto the Lodge spatula over here. So anyways, if you press jump on the right button, then you shoot into the air, and you can get the spatula that way. So yeah, I think that's all there is to say about Sand Mountain. So now we're going to go to Goo Lagoon. And for that, after the Larry slide, you want to warp to Patrick and then split. And then we're going to enter Patrick's rock to get the sock. And then we're going to enter Goo Lagoon. And you can do another animation skip here by jumping around and entering Goo Lagoon like this. Alright. Now, here you can just do a double jump spin. The fact that I didn't get a ledge grab means that I did it pretty tightly. but usually you get a ledge grab, and then you can jump over these rocks, and you get this animation, and then you can just walk to Larry. However, you can skip that animation by going around like this. You so usually you don't get a ledge grab with that one, so you just jump like this, and then from this pole, so this is the way you do this. So this is kill sand, which means that hands will be re-enabled if you mess up here. And if you go too far to the left, then this cutscene will play, which means that you are in risk of re-enabling the hand, which you do not want. So the goal is to go around the cutscene skipper around the cutscene trigger out of bounds. And for that, I use this pole and I just jump towards the umbrella in the distance. So the one I'm looking at right now, that one. And you do a single double jump and then just wait a bit and then go to the left, and that's it. It's 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 really easy, but it's also risky, so if you don't want to risk it, then you can just not do it. It only saves 1 or 2 seconds if I recall correctly. Then we need to talk to Larry and then go on with our day. Then here we're going to set up a sponge glide. And let me first show you what that looks like. So I need to set this one up like this. This is a sponge glide. So this is what you want to do here. And this way you can glide over to this island. Now, the way you set it up is this is what you want it to look like. So you have a red dot between the legs of Spongebob, right in the middle, right below his pants, and that's where you want Spongebob to be. And then to line up the camera angle, you look at the second red button, so the one that's right above Spongebob and not the one that's a little bit to the left on the top of the screen, but the one that's right above Spongebob. And you want to have that line up with the boxes in the background the way I have it in right here. And it's not that precise, but it is pretty precise. Like, this should still work, but this might not work, and this might not work, but this is probably still good enough. And then and then the inputs that you do. So let me get the perfect one again. The inputs that you do is you wanna press jump and then go backwards like that. So what some people might do wrong is first go backwards and then jump, but then as you can see, if you move backwards, he moves a bit to the left or to the right, and you do not want that. So you want to first press jump and then backwards. You do want to do the backwards very quickly after the jump though, so maybe just press them at the same time or something like that. And then we do a full double jump, trying to get as much distance as possible towards the goo. And then we get damaged back to our position, and then you want to do a double jump out of the damage and then slam at the right moment. And the timing for that double jump and the slam are pretty difficult, so this takes quite a bit of practice to get down. Now this is also taught in the Any Beginner tutorial, which probably does a better job at explaining it, so I recommend watching that if you're having trouble with this. But that's about it for this trick. So the timing for the double jump slam is the most difficult part. Now, another thing to mention here is that there's a sock on top of this lifeguard tower, which is a really, really fast sock, if you can get it immediately. However, that is pretty difficult. So what you want to do here is you want to do that. I got it first try, let's go. You want to... And that way you can get the sock. So what's happening there is when you get damaged from the goo and you jump out of the damage, then you get a double jump and you can't jump again. But if you jump too early, then nothing happens. So if I press A now, now, then nothing happens. However, if you press jump on the first frame that the damage animation ends, then you can get a single jump out of which you can do a double jump. So it's a frame perfect trick. As you can see, I don't usually get it. There we go. That's a frame perfect jump, and then a double jump out of that. So that's the fastest way to get the sock, and it's a really fast sock in this category because we get a lot of slow socks. So it's a very good one to replace another one, but it's obviously very difficult to get consistently very fast. So it's not one that I recommend to beginners. Anyways, now we're over here because we did the sponge glide. Now we want to hit this robot. Actually, hitting this robot is the reason that we want to go over here. Because if we didn't want to hit the robot, then there was a way easier way to get through Goo Lagoon. But now that we've hit the robot, we are able to get the spatula from Larry at the beginning. So we'll do that later, because now we need to go further here. And now we are going to set up a damage boost here. So the way I set it up is I have Spongebob to be like next to Patrick here. And in the words of Shift, you want to have this set up such that it looks like Spongebob is eating his ass. So if you set it up like this and then set up the camera angle such that you barely don't clip into, like, such that the camera doesn't go forwards, but barely, and that's a perfect setup. And what you can do then is, well, I'll just do it first. So this is what you want to do to get over here. And the way you do it is first you do a full jump onto the box, and then you do a small double jump. So something like that. The double jump needs to be very small. If you double jump too far, then you drown, and you need to do the sponge glide again. So you do not want that to happen. So you want to do a small double jump and then a bash. And the bash is actually pretty easy because you have a lot of frames thanks to sliding off the box. And most people recommend to time the bash, because the earlier you press the bash, the more speed you will probably have. But you can also just mash the bash. It just makes it so you need a more precise setup. So your setup needs to be better. Anyways, now we're doing another sponge glide, and this one is actually not that precise. So you just want to have it set up something like this. It's really not that precise, the setup. And then you just double jump, and then another double jump and a slam. And then all of these 3 tricks that we just did are in the Any % beginner tutorial. And now we split. So yeah. And now we're going to do the pier stuff. This is all actually one of the things in pier is pretty difficult. So yeah. We actually don't need to hit the robots here for once, because it's actually impossible to get the bumper boat spatula. So that's kind of funny. This is the only category where you don't need to hit these robots. Otherwise it would have been a very fast spatula. And now we're climbing this to get this sock. And now the next objective is to climb that tower to get a spatula from the bungee. And first of all, the fastest way to climb it is from here. So you go from the slide to the flags. But another way to get on top of here is if you fall, or if you don't want to try it like that, then you can just jump on this and then jump on this and then onto the flags. And now we're going to climb the flags onto the tower. And the hitbox of these flags is actually pretty weird. So every flag has its own hitbox, and if you try to stand on the edge of one of the flags, then for some it is possible, but for some it is not. And so what you want to do is, for all the flags after this red one, you want to jump on the tops of the flags. Give me 1 minute. Sorry about that. So you want to jump on the top of the flags, on the top of the triangles. So kind of like this. And the next flag always kind of pushes you, so you don't want to go too far forwards or you'll miss it. And that's how you get up here. So let me do that one more time. So up to the red flag, it's pretty easy. Then we do double jumps on the next few. It is quite finicky. This is not very easy, but it's also not very hard. So yeah, that's what you want to do to get up here. And then you can just double jump, ledge grab, double jump. And now comes another pretty difficult jump. So you want to set it up so... so let me first show you what you want to do. So you want to double jump and ledge grab that. Like that. And it's pretty tight. So you want to have approximately this camera angle. And the reason I bash here is to turn around. Because if you try to turn around like this, then SpongeBob moves, which I don't want. And if you press bash, then he stands still, but you can still turn around. So we do this, and then we do a double jump, and then a ledge grab. So that timing of those jumps is actually pretty precise, and requires quite a bit of practice. Anyway, then we just jump into the bungee and grab the spatula. So yeah, this is actually one of the harder spatulas, I would say, in the speedrun. If you can get SDJs down, then this is probably one of the next hardest spatulas. The one on that tower. It's a good thing that the bash with the double jump ledge grab you can keep trying that and you don't lose a lot of time if you miss it. Because you can just land and try again. But yeah, the rest of this just speaks for itself mostly. So one thing to mention about this part is we're going to get this sock over here. And if you go like if you let go of the analog stick, then you can actually keep your momentum from the slide on this surface here, which is pretty cool. It's a bit of a faster way to get over here. The fastest way is actually because what we're going to do is hit this duplicatotron, and that's the fastest way of doing it, like this. But I don't recommend doing it like that, because if you miss it, then you risk falling and having to try again. So the easier way is to just go like this, and then hit it with a spin, and then jump back, and get the sock, and jump down to get back to the checkpoint. Oh. And now we're going to do that sliding thing again, but over here. It's pretty difficult though, because all the robots are in the way. But one thing you can do actually is just hit the robots anyways, even though you don't have to in the first time around. But if everything works out, then you can still get this momentum thing. And then we split.
Hello, Gary.
Here you want to jump into the goo. And then you spawn at the end, because we entered from the end. The only reason we go to Gary is because Gary has to talk to you when you first spawn in here. And then we just jump in the box and we leave. By the way, that sock we just got on the pier by sliding is actually one of the slower socks, so that's also one that you might want to remove if you get on other socks that you want to add. Okay, so now we're going to grind shiny objects again. Fun, fun, fun. So on the top of the sandcastle here, there's a huge stack of tikis, which we are going to use to get a lot of shiny objects. And this is the rhythm that you're going to repeat. So hit the stack on the top. First of all, hit this robot. Then get to the top. Touch the stack, touch this tiki, hit this stack, and then jump down. And then at some point you have enough So you only need to do one more cycle and then you split. And then you go and do this one more time and jump down to get this sock. Now that jump at the end is kinda hard to get used to, but it's really not that bad. You just need to, with the double jump spin, you have quite a bit of distance, and you can also ledge grab this if you barely don't make it. So that's pretty lenient. Now you want to end here with 7,400 shiny objects. You really do not want to have much more than this. If you have like 7,410, it already gets a bit scary whether it will work out. And if you have like 200 less than this, then you probably will lose a bit of time later. So this one is pretty precise. You really want to have between 7,300 and 7,400 shinies here. And then we warp to King of the Castle. And this is a very fun strat. We can use this umbrella to jump up here. It's kind of finicky, but it's it's also really fun. So like that. And then there's a sock here. So that's the fastest way to get this sock. But one thing to mention is the slower method, which is to go over here and just hit the Tiki. This method also gives you a bunch of shiny objects. So if you're only a few shiny objects short, I think it's like 200 shinies you get from this. If you're 200 shinies short, then this is a method to get 200 more shinies. And but also if you don't need any more shinies, then you really do not want to do this because you have too many shiny objects. So since it's so much fun and it's not really that difficult, I really recommend trying to do this unless you really need 200 more shinies. So timing the jump is kind of difficult, but it's really not that bad. And because it's so much fun, I really do recommend learning this trick. And you can get really good bounces, which immediately go over here as well, so that's pretty sick. And after that, we're going to murder some kids. So this is just casually. So we have to wait for the balloons to go over one of the platforms to be able to hit them. And this is RNG based, so I just got unlucky and I have to wait now. There we go. This is just casually. And then we go over to the next kid. Oops. Missing these kids loses quite a bit of time, unfortunately. So, yeah. And then we get this purple shiny. That purple shiny, maybe you can actually avoid getting that. Yeah, probably you can. You can bash to get the platform up. So if you have too many shinies, you can avoid getting the purple maybe. Okay. And then we need to get this sock. And then we're going to get this kid. Come here. Come on. There we go. And for this one you should bash to get the platform, which really helps a lot. In this cycle is pretty perfect for that, but it really does help in multiple situations. Oh. Alright, so then we get the kid's spatula. And then we warp to connect the towers and split. And then we get the connect the tower spatula. This one you get for destroying that robot on the stack of boxes, by the way. And now we're going to get the moat spatula. And for that you want to go over here. And move, just jump on the fence. And here you can actually just walk under the goo. So let me try to show you. So you can just, this is just somewhere you can walk. So let me speed this up because we need to walk quite a far distance. And this is the easiest way to get the moat spatula without switching to characters. Now, it is worth mentioning that there is a faster strat to get this spatula. So let me warp to the sea caves again and go over here. So remember that we, 1 second. Remember that we ended grinding by getting the sock over here. So after you get that sock, you want to go over here. And then, oh, I do not know why I just did that. So you want to do a jump forwards on this thing. And then a full double jump, and then you can ledge grab this. And then you want to jump over down there, but you can use this hammer bot to go a little bit faster if he is in the right place. So let me show that real quick. So this can help you speed up because you want to get this checkpoint. Now this checkpoint is not necessary, but I highly recommend getting it because this is a pretty difficult strat. So first of all, let me show you. You can just buy this clam. That's obviously a very slow strat because shiny objects are very valuable in this category. You can buy the clam and then you can jump on top of the button and hit it with a slam. And then all these platforms spawn, so you can just get the spatula casually from here. However, buying the clam is really expensive. We don't want to do that. Now, as it turns out, the button is actually already there. It's just invisible, so we can just actually jump to it with this same damage boost. So let me just show that. Like this. And actually, you can just slam it wherever. So the previous time I had to slam the button, but now I can just slam wherever I can walk, and then everything spawns and I can do the challenge. Now, how do you do this damage boost? So we use the melon actually to get a slide in which we can jump, and then we just double jump spin. And it takes quite a bit of practice to get used to how far you want to jump. So this is really something you need to practice. And if you miss it, then you will be really happy that you got that checkpoint, because otherwise you have to spawn all the way back up to the sand castle. So I think that's all there is to say about the moat spatula. And all there is to say about Goo Lagoon in general. So now we're going to go back to Bikini Bottom and split. Alright, now we're going to, oh, maybe, so now you want to do another SDJ here, so you want to be quick to reach the cycle. There we go. And now we just want to do an SDJ. And we want to get on top of the Shady shoals building. I think I messed up. I just jumped too early. Okie dokie. That should be correct. Alright. Okay. And after that, So this is why the number of shinies was so important, because now we're going to buy dupe spats, and to buy the first one we need to have more than 3,500, but less than 7,500. And in order to be able to quickly buy the next one, we need to have at least 3,855 shiny objects, I believe. Because this stack gives 145 shinies. And then we can buy the next one. So this was optimal, because now we can just buy 2. If you're just a little bit too short, then you can hit those Thunder Tikis or some other Tikis or collect some ground shinies. But you really want to just have the right number of shiny objects, obviously. Anyways, now we enter Rock Bottom. However, now is a perfect time to mention that there is a much faster way to get the Shady Shoals spatula, which is by doing VMS instead of an SDJ. And you might say to yourself, how is that faster? Well, it skips the whole save game glitch walking to the hub 2 area. So instead of doing save game glitch at the beginning of the run, what you can do instead is in downtown Bikini Bottom. So I'll show you. So you really want to do the extra sock route for downtown, by the way, if you want to do this. So remember that there was another route to get more socks, an extra sock in here, which is the sock on the building in the distance. And that way we set up the SDJ from here. And the reason that's the way you want to do it, if you want to do this strat, is because you want to go after Sea Needle, you want to go here anyways, even though you already got the sock on there. Because you can do a VMS setup here. So you can use these platforms here to set up a VMS and go like this. And I think that's correct, so let's hope for the best. There we go. And then you can use this to get on top of the Shady Shoals. And this skips the whole walking out of bounds with the save game glitch, which saves a lot of time. It saves multiple minutes. It also saves doing the SDJ, because you've already done VMS. So yeah, this is a really good strat, but it's obviously pretty difficult because you have to do a VMS. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to mention. Now on to Rock Bottom. The first thing you're going to do here is bathroom boost. Before that we need to collect all the art pieces, unless you want to skip the art spat, which is a very reasonable spat to skip. But get the art piece, and then we're going to... I don't know why I just did that. That's not what you want to do. Anyway, so we get the art piece. So I'll show you an alternative if you can't do bathroom boost, but you just hit the floating tiki like that, so you can just hit and then move back. And then here's where you're going to do bathroom boost. So what you want to do is you want to jump down like that, so he's going to hit you. And then you want to stand on here, and you want to stand a little bit further forward. So you don't want to stand too much backwards. This is not going to work. You want to stand somewhere around here. So like this. And then you can bash off of the damage boost. So let me show that one more time. And I just mash the bash button to get that, and then you can do a double jump out of there to get even more speed. It's a pretty cool trick, and it's really not that hard. I think any beginner should be able to learn this trick. So even though I do think that, I will show you an alternative to that strat. So what you can do instead is you can go over here. and then over here. And then you can get this Spongeball over here. You can also climb this from below, by the way. It's a bit more finicky though. There you go. You can jump on here and then there. You want to get the Spongeball, and then you want to go over here. And you can actually just roll against this slide with a Spongeball. For some reason you don't actually go into the sliding animation when you're a Spongeball, so that's kind of a funny oversight. And that way you can skip doing the damage boost, but honestly the damage boost is so cool and easy and sick, so probably better just learn the damage boost instead. By the way, of course I forgot to split as you enter rock bottom. So after doing Shady shoals and the dupe spats, you enter rock bottom and then you split. Now here's a pretty cool spatula animation skip. So what you can do is you can just grab the spatula and then leave. But what you can also do is you can skip the spatula animation. So the way you do that is you just jump over and press R. I think this one worked. Okay, so if you press R too early, like I just did, so if you press R like way too early, then it doesn't work. And the reason is that you first have the landing animation from the double jump. And after the landing animation, the spatula animation starts. And you want the spatula animation to start before you warp away, because that way you don't need to do it again. So now the spatula animation doesn't start. I think I jumped next to the spatula that time. So that means that the spatula animation will start upon load. But if you press R late enough, then the spatula animation will start, and then we skip it. So that's just a pretty cool trick. So you want to jump over it and then press R as you descend. And then we split because we've done bathroom boost and the special animation skip, and then we're going to do downtown rock bottom.
Hey, Mr.
And this is mostly just casual stuff, so not much to say here. Remember to get Tikis for shiny objects, obviously. And here you want to jump to the right. Oh, I messed that up. You want to actually anticipate it. So, like, move a little bit into the wall already, but not too much. And then you can get the sock like that. So, then move on. The time challenge is actually kind of tight, so you don't want to make too many mistakes here. And then you can just walk through the spatula, or you can do a damage boost here, which is like 1 second faster or something. It's really not that much, but it's pretty easy. So yeah, watch out for the Chuck and the Tartarbot, because they are pretty good at killing you right there. And then you can hit the sleepy time robot like that. So what's important is that you don't go too far, because then he will hit you. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it. It's pretty easy. And this is the fastest way to get this sock. The ledge grab was unnecessary, but you can climb this like this and then get the sock. If you think that's too difficult, then you can just jump on the floating platform and get the sock that way. So if you want to do it like this, then you want to jump on the left side of this one. So you can just jump on here and then jump on the front of it, because that's a little bit higher. And then you want to jump around to get on top of here. And for this one you really don't want to go over here, because then you won't make the jump. So you want to go over here and then do the double jump into here. And the angle that you have when you do the jump on here is pretty important, or otherwise you're not gonna get it. Anyway, after that, after getting the sock, you want to jump on the platform from here. And this is also the reason that getting the sock by using the platform is slow, because then you get the sock and then you have to wait for the platform to go back down. So yeah, there we go. So then we want to ride the elevator up, and this is what you want to do to get up here. So let me go over that. You can use the momentum from the platform to just jump up here like that. So for that you need to jump before the platform finishes, or you won't have enough momentum. If you miss it, you can just jump on here though, so it's not a big deal. It just loses a little bit of time, and then you can just jump on here. If you can't make this jump for some reason, then you can also jump on here instead. And now I think it's worth mentioning that there's an even faster strat. Let's see if I can get it. I need to line this one up. Oh. So there's an even faster strat, and you can use the momentum from the platform for this strat. And get a let's grab like that. So that's the fastest strat, but it's obviously really risky, as you can see down there. So I don't recommend it, but it is the fastest strat. Alright, moving on. We're going to get this sock, going to get that painting. And now we're going to do another pretty cool Spongeball storage trick to get the spatula over this gap. So what you want to do is you want to roll off this rock onto the trampoline like this. And then you want to hold forward, and then you can use the trampoline bounce, which is stored in the Spongeball, to get over here. So let me do that a few more times. So roll off, bounce, hold forward, and then do the jump. So a few more times. This is really consistent. So yeah, just practice it a few times and you'll get it. Alright. Now we're going to the end. By the way, I did this earlier as well for the alternative to bathroom boost, but this jump is actually pretty tight. So you really need to have a full double jump for this one, and otherwise this happens. And if you can't make it, no big deal. You can just sneak up on a sleepy time and hit him, and then go forward. And now we're going to need to get to the museum. So there are a few different ways you can do this. I'll first show you the fastest way, which is to get this box up there. Okay, I just messed it up. So you want to get the box and then also move back, which is pretty difficult. But yeah, when you do that, you can just jump in the box and then you're up here. So that's the fastest way. This takes a bit of practice, so it's pretty difficult. So, but yeah. I don't think there's much more to say about that. So if you can't get it, what you can do is you can just jump down to the slide and then hit a few thunder tikis until you die, and then you will spawn back at the checkpoint over there, and then you can jump into the box. So that's another thing you can do if you can't get the box thing. Another thing you can do is you can get that Spongeball over there again. So jump on here and over here, and if you actually come in from the other side, if you come from there, then you can also use that to get on top of here. Now we're going to get the Spongeball. One thing to mention here is you don't want to get the Spongeball and then roll off. If I now exit the Spongeball, then I get a bit of downwards momentum, and I don't want downwards the momentum. I want to go up. So you want to like stay in place with the Spongeball and then roll off. And then we're going to use the Spongeball to bounce up there. So like this. And you want to get a double jump out of it. So that's what you want to do. So if you approach this ramp at the right angle, then you'll get a good bounce. And the chuck is obviously not helping. So this is I think a bit slower than the box strat, but I'm not completely sure. It is easier than the box strat though. So yeah. And then we just get the spatula, enter the museum and split. Now the museum has actually a lot of different methods. So let me first show you that you can just do this casually. You can just wow, I did not know this was possible. You can just hit the buttons, and there's actually a little bit of a skip you can do here. You can go like this if you want to do it casually, but just a little bit less casually. So all the alternatives to the casual method are actually kind of difficult, so don't feel bad about using the casual method, because the alternatives are all pretty difficult. But yeah, this is just straightforward hitting all the buttons, and then the lasers disappear. Now don't forget to get this sock. 1 second, I just have to check something. Okay. And then we're going to the next section, and you'll do this one casually as well. So there's a button over here you want to hit, and one thing to 1 second. One thing to mention here is that if you face this way, then the spin will start to the right. If you spin, like you always start the spin on the right, so you want to face this way when you hit this button. If you, I'm pretty sure if you like face this way, then yeah, then that happens. So you want to face this way when you press the button. And then we just climb this. Get the art piece and the button, of course. And the final button. And then we can get the spatula. And then there's still an art piece at the end on the top there. So we need to actually do all of the rest of the museum as well. So if you actually want to do this, then art is probably one of the slowest spatulas. If you do it this way. Getting the box is highly recommended, because falling down is not fun. Having to do it all over again. This checkpoint eats a jump input, by the way, so when you get the checkpoint, press A to get rid of the checkpoint message. Alright. Watch out for the monsoons. There's actually a checkpoint over here, so that's worth mentioning. And then you have these Thunder Tikis that you really want to get. And then the fastest strat here is to go like this. And it's really not that difficult, but obviously falling down is pretty... you don't want that to happen. It's pretty bad. And then you can jump over here and get the museum. The easier strat is obviously to do it from the other side. So go from here. And then get the art piece and then the sock. So this is probably a lot easier. One thing to mention here is there's a cutscene trigger here, which obviously loses a bit of time, so you want to prevent hitting that one. Yeah, but so this is just jump spacing, and make sure to try to ledge grab a bit to the right, because if you try to ledge grab over here, then it just doesn't work, because the ledge doesn't extend that far. So like this. It's not that tight. It's not that hard. Anyway, now I'm going to explain some of the more fun strategies you can do in the museum. So first of all, so the more fun strategies all involve not hitting the buttons to get rid of the lasers, because that's slow. So we need to get another way to get that sock, and you can just get it like this, or you can just do a spin like this. And in Dolphin, and I think PlayStation 2 as well, you instantly die when you hit the floor here, but on Xbox you don't, so that's interesting. So if you miss it, then you have to try again on GameCube. What you can do, however, is you can press R as you fall down, which initiates this text box, and then you can exit and just jump towards the sock. So that's something you can do. What you can what you can also do uh, is get the text box again. It's pretty difficult though. That's kind of the idea. I just messed up getting the sock. Ah, it's pretty difficult. Man. Let me give this a few more tries. There we go. So that's the fastest way to get the sock on GameCube. On Xbox you can just get it and then damage boost back here. So it's not a big deal if you get damaged. Anyway. I'm going to assume that you get it like this. Because that's the most normal method. And then we're going to clip through the laser walls. So that's fun. Okay, you don't want to get hit too early. Darn it. Okay, I'm gonna have to wait here. Wait, I remembered having a strat for this. So if you jump on here and then move the camera 180 degrees, or 360, that's the perfect time to jump on here. Nice. That's something I used to do. So one more time, just turn the camera 360 degrees and then jump on here. Okay, here comes the strat. Oh, so this is the strat. Now you might... now that looks pretty strange, so let me explain what I just did there. The laser wall has still lasers and moving lasers. You can see some lasers move upwards and some move downwards, and some diagonal lasers are standing still. So all of the moving lasers are just the laser wall, so there's an actual wall there that you cannot cross. And there are the individual lasers, which are actual objects that you can stand on, which is what I just did there. And you can distinguish them by being diagonal and not moving. So the still lasers are the ones you can stand on. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm standing on the lasers here, as you can see. And the problem with this usually is if you try to stand on these lasers. Okay, I just got really lucky. If you try to stand on these lasers, you would usually get damage boosted away from the wall. But if you're already being damaged by this electric shock thing, then you can do a double jump out of. Then you have a few invisibility frames. So you can do a double jump and just walk up there. And the same thing you can do to get on the next laser over here. And then you can just double jump spin to get on top of here. So one more time. Like that. And then you just jump on here. You can use the momentum of this thing to skip any ledge grabs like that. But yeah, that's not necessary. It's just a fun thing you can do. Now comes the actual part where we clip through the wall. So you want to time this well, and then you want to jump on some more lasers. And the way we clip is by ledge grabbing onto the wheel. Is it a wheel? I'll just call it a wheel. Here we again jump on some lasers, and as you can see there's a laser that actually sticks out quite far, so you can just walk on this one. So this is a pretty nice laser. Uh, by the way, you do need to get this underwear here, so just keep that in mind. And if you mess this up, so if you somehow get hit too many times, then there's an underwear over there that you can get. Then we need to time it with this wheel, because we need to ledge grab onto the wheel. So look at the wheel, and this is when you want to go. And that's basically it. So when you damage boost off of this, you actually land on this one. That's what you're doing here. So you damage boost off of this laser, and then you jump on the next one. So you damage boost off of the bottom laser, and then you land on the next one. And the reason I turn the camera like this is one, to see the wheel cycle, but you can also see that from here. And two, it is to just see where the laser is that I need to stand on. So I and many others like to have the camera like this to see where I need to jump. So let me do it one more time. So land, damage boost, and then ledge grab. And that's it. That's how you clip through the laser wall. So now we're gonna do that one more time for the next laser wall. So remember to hit the Tikis.
You've just met the Sponginator.
Okay. Now we're going to clip through this wall. So this one is a bit more tricky, I think. So you want to... Okay. Give me a few tries. I haven't done this in a while. Oh, I forgot to get the underwear. 1 second. You want to get this underwear. Forgot to mention that. Which you will need to clip through the wall, obviously.
You've just met the Sponginator.
Alright, so let's try this again. I think this is a much better camera angle anyways. So you want to jump off. And then do a double jump and then a ledge grab. And then you will go through the laser wall. So let me do that a few more times. You want to make sure that your double jump, that you're pretty low when you do the double jump. Because otherwise you jump on here, which I just did like a bunch of times. And then you can jump to the sock here. So that's what you want to do. You can also do it with a single jump if you do it correctly. So yeah. And then you can get the sock, and then the art, and then the spatula. And after the spatula you can get the art on the bottom. Now there are a few more things to mention here. For one, this sock on the right is actually pretty fast. So you can get it with a very well spaced double jump spin ledge grab. And then you can get this sock. And if you do this, then you do not want to get that underwear, because then you can just jump down and die to the sleepy time. If you did get the underwear, then you can still insta-kill yourself with the floor, because that insta-kills you on GameCube for some reason. Anyway, then you're back here, and then you can do the other stuff. Now, another thing to mention is that there is a faster way to get all these objects here. So you can do it in the reverse order. First get the art piece, then we're going to go to the spatula without clipping actually. This is a pretty sick strat, but it's also pretty hard. So you can jump under the laser wall here. This is pretty difficult. I haven't ever practiced this anyways, so this will probably take me a few tries. Let me take another camera angle maybe. That will help me. Well, it did. Okay, so that's what you can do. Let me try to get that a few more times for you to see. There you go. Okay, it's not that bad, but it's still pretty difficult. So it's the hardest stretch you can do here, as far as I know. And then we need to get on top of there. Do I still? Yeah, obviously I still have enough health. Otherwise there is an underwear here. But you wanna again jump on the lasers, so the actual lasers you can stand on. So here's one, and that's the one you want to land on. So this is what you want to do. It's pretty difficult. I'm actually surprised that I got it first try. And then you get the art piece, and then you're done for the museum. So I think I covered all the strats. Oh, and obviously wanna 1 second. Yeah, I don't want to get that sock on the right because that's not in the actual route. So let me do this one more time. Don't forget to hit the Thunder Tikis. But the strat that I actually am used to doing. I think you can hit that cycle anyways. There we go. Ah, no, not this again. Let's do it again. Yeah. Can I get this? I can. And I cannot get this. Brilliant. Okay. There we go. Alright. And the final art piece. Yep. Okay, so that's about all I wanted to say about Museum. And now we're going to the trench. Trench of Darkness. And Split. That took 17 minutes. Okay. So the easiest strat here. Okay, so we need to get that art piece on top of there. So you want to ledge grab on top of here. So the way I do this is well, first of all, you just double jump and then ledge grab. But the way I time it is I go in this direction and I do the double jump when I'm on top of this rock right here. So aim there and do the double jump like that, and you get it every time. And then you can just get the art, and then we can move on to the next part. And the next part is getting the spatula that's on top of this platform. So that one. So, wait. 1 second. Yeah, okay. Let me do that again. Yeah. So the easiest strat here is just to go forwards. You can the optimal moment to get that sock is later, so just skip it for now. Then actually do this casually. That's the easiest. And you can just do this Spongebob challenge. And then the gate stays open. But you can also open the gate in another way. There's an invisible platform here. It's actually pretty big, so it's not hard to land on, but it is invisible. And you need to know where it stops. So it stops like right there, as you can see. And you want to use this to double jump spin on towards here, and then you can go here and then the gate opens. So that's the faster method. So let me do it again. It's pretty easy. It is pretty easy. Just try it a few times and you'll get it. And then we can jump over the gate. And what we're now going to do is we're going to set up another SDJ, Spongeball Displacement Jump. So that's fun. So we're going to do Spongeball storage. Then we're going to use this elevator platform. This is actually one of the higher SDJ setups. So you want to go on there like this, and then, okay, of course I messed it up, but you want to roll onto it from there, and then do the SDJ. Make a save state this time. Okay, and I didn't need it. Yeah, that's what you want to do, and then you can get this spatula. Now, before I move on, I want to show you the faster way of doing this, which is called Sleepy Skip. So we jump up here again and get the painting, but this time we actually go further. Let me make another save state, by the way. Right here. Okay. And then what we're gonna do is Sleepy Skip, and it looks like this. Okay, so obviously I messed it up, but that way you can get on top of the platform. Now, there is actually a reason I messed it up beyond me just being bad, which is the damage animations. So, yeah, okay. So, the Spongebob has... Let me first actually explain how the trick works. I think that's a good idea. So, let me actually set up the good damage animation. So, I'll try to give a good example of how it looks. Okay. There we go. That's what it looks like. So what you do is you set up a damage boost, and if you do it correctly, then you actually slide off of the ledge there. And with that slide, you can input a bash and then a double jump, and then you can pixel jump off of here if you have enough momentum. So like this. And you can actually ledge grab if you jump early enough, but if you jump too early, then you won't get a jump, and you need to do a full jump or else you won't make it. So it's pretty scary if to jump too early. But that's basically all there is to it. But one thing to mention is damage animations. So Spongebob has 5 damage animations. So that's one of them. But the next one is... Okay, let me show this off at this location. So, as you can see, that's a different damage animation from that one. He has 5 damage animations, and they all go in a cycle, which means that the next damage animation is determined by the previous one. And this damage animation is actually longer than all of the other. So all of the other damage animations are the same length, and this one is, if I recall correctly, 3 frames longer. So you want to keep that in mind, because that means that you can bash later, which means you will be lower. So you don't want to have this damage animation. And the way you know that you will have that damage animation is if you have this damage animation over here. So let me try to show that off a little better. So this damage animation indicates that the next one will be the longer one, and you don't want that one. So if you see this damage animation, then you know that you need to get damaged one more time before you do Sleepy Skip. And that's about all there is to say about this. If you do Sleepy Skip, then you still need to get this gate. And then you need to get the sock like this. So, yeah. Because if you don't do sleepy skip, I had a save state for this, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay. If you don't do sleepy skip and if you do the SDJ, which is a lot easier by the way, sleepy skip is pretty difficult. If you do the SDJ, then you want to just jump down here onto the invisible ledge here again and then get the sock like this. And that's like a 0-second sock, so that's why you don't want to get the sock earlier to waste time. Okay, and now we're going to do another SDJ. So that's what I'm setting up right now. And that's also why you want to open the gate after you do actually sleepy skip, because you want to do another SDJ afterwards. So set it up again, and then now you want to do a double jump as soon as the stars disappear. So let me show you that one more time. So the stars disappear, and that's when you want to do a double jump. And while you are in the air, you want to move in that general direction. So and then the double jump, and then we want to keep moving forwards because we're trying to land on a certain platform in the distance. And yeah, and here's an art piece, and that's the final art piece. So that's the reason that we did all this. And now we can just warp to the museum art spatula. And that's all there is to it in Rock Bottom. Alright. Next up is Kelp Forest. And before we go to Kelp Forest, we need to grind for shiny objects. How fun. So warp to defeat King Jellyfish. And then split. Now this is a good moment to mention that warping to the wrong place can invalidate your run. So you really need to keep track of where you need to warp. So for example, if you warp to navigate, no wait, to, yeah, I think it is navigate canyons and mesas, then you will switch to Patrick, which is not allowed. So this invalidates my run just now. So do not do that. Do not warp to the wrong places. Always pay very close attention to where you're warping or your run will be invalidated. So all I just did was set up the grinding. So now we're going to do some more grinding. Fun, fun, fun. I know. Oops, didn't want to bash there. Anyways, I'm just going to cheat right here because this is just a tutorial. Let's see here. What did I just do? Alright, there we go. You want to get this many shiny objects. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And this is pretty precise if I remember correctly. You want to get pretty much this number. You can have a little less. I don't think you can have more. You really don't want to have more than this. And you can have up to 100 less than this, I think. So pay attention to that. And when you have enough, let's see here. When you have enough, you want to warp to top of the pineapple, and we're going to do another SDJ. So be prepared to set this one up again, because you want to be fast to get the cycle. There we go. And then there we go. And then when we're high enough, I'm not sure if this one's gonna make it actually. Okay, I think it is. So you just want to get on top of the jump bucket. So make sure you get enough height with that one. And remember that the amount of height you get is dependent on how much the platform moves. So just wait for the platform to be at its highest. And then after this, you can just jump on the taxi pad to skip another cutscene. And that's how you optimally enter Kelp Forest. And oh, and of course I forgot to split again. After the grinding, when you warp to Pineapple, we split. And when you enter the Kelp Forest, we split for the next one. And now I want to mention that there's another way to get the on top of the Chum Bucket spatula. There are two other ways actually. So remember that at the very start of the run, we used Spongeball storage here to get to skip to hub 3. So let me show that one more time. So you go like this, and then wait, I just did it wrong. And then you get this bounce. Okay, game. Get the bounce, and then jump up here, and then jump over. So that's what we did to skip to hub 3. However, what you can do is called Rollbuck. And that way you can get the spatula as you're going to hub 3. So this is a very difficult trick actually. Let me see. I probably will look up a tutorial that I can put in the description for this, but I might forget. So let me briefly explain how you do this. What I do for this, so this is my setup. A lot of people have different setups. I also see many people try Rollbuck from null state, so like this, but I am personally pretty bad at that one. So I try to do it like with a faster setup. Like that. What are things that I can say about this? I mean, it is a pretty difficult trick. You just have to get used to the movement. I'm not sure how much there is even to say about this. So there's an invisible wall here that is slanted that we're trying to roll up. And at the end there is a slant that you can jump off. So you want the angle that you want your joystick to be when you're rolling up the rocks is a bit in more to the right than forwards, but you kind of need to adjust your angle as you're doing it. Now, in my opinion, the hardest part is getting a bounce here, because if you get a bad bounce, that was too bad. If you get a bad bounce, then you will get stopped like that. So you need to have enough momentum to actually bounce up to the wall and be able to do this. That was a perfect one. Yeah, so this is a pretty difficult trick. I do not recommend this to beginners at all. It's a really difficult trick, but it is the fastest way to get this spatula. Now, another way to get the spatula that's still faster than the SDJ is using this Spongeball. Let me set this up. Oh, I messed it up. That was pretty stupid. Let me go there again. So we're using Spongebob storage again. And then you want to jump up here, which is kinda weird. And then you want to become the Spongeball. And then you can go like this. So this is harder than the SDJ, but it's a lot easier than Rollbuck still. And then you can jump up the buttons. So let me do that again. So it's like this. So the first bounce is the most important. So for that you want to hit the wall around here. And then you'll bounce up enough to get a good second bounce. So for the second bounce you just go like this. And for the third bounce you want to make sure not to hit the chum bucket. So aim away from the chum bucket as you do this. And I just hit the chum bucket, which made me not be able to get the jump. So yeah, this is an easier alternative to Rollbuck. I think that's all there is to say about this. So yeah, beginners should probably just do do a SDJ.
We are in the
Okay,
Kelp
now on to
Forest,
Kelp
an
Forest.
interesting area with many sights to see.
So
For those that
uh, the fast there are actually pretty sick strats to do Kelp Forest backwards and get on top of there. But I don't think any of the strats are beginner friendly, and it is actually possible to uh, complete the Spongebob only run without doing Kelp Forest backwards. So I'm going to show you my beginner route, which does not involve Kelp Forest backwards. I will show you how to do Kelp Forest backwards in multiple different ways at the end of Kelp Forest, after all the other stuff. So what I'm doing here is I'm just getting a sock. This is actually one of the slower socks as well, so if you're looking for a sock to remove, this is a good option. Now there's actually a pretty fast sock that is not in the route. I'm sorry. Here's actually a fast sock that's not in the route. So what you do for this one is you gonna hit these Tikis. This is kind of tedious. And the way this works, so casually, you want to bowl the Tikis with one bowl. So you want to go in one strike through all the Tikis and then the sock spawns. However, the way the game checks for this is the first check is whether all the center Tikis are gone, and the second check is whether the two outer Tikis are destroyed fast enough after one another. So you can do that without a ball. So you can just hit this one. And then I mess it up. No. So this is pretty tedious. But that also makes the sock spawn. This is not necessary for my route, so just don't do it. But it is a pretty fast sock. It is not in the route though, so you can add it. Anyway, now there's a camper up here, so we're gonna get that one. You can just jump up here from the right, so just hold left here, and you can jump up here. And then you can jump a little bit higher, and then you can get the camper like that. It's really easy, so you just jump like this, and then up there. Okay, now you want to get this checkpoint, and then you want to talk to Mrs. Puff, and you want to jump from Mrs. Puff to the button. If you can't do this jump, then you can also jump down here, use the leaf to get up there, and you want to press the button. It's a fun cutscene. Now this is all to get the camper spatula, by the way, which is a pretty slow spatula, so this is also a good candidate for a spatula that you might want to remove. Anyway, now we have the camper, and then we want to jump into the goo, and then move on. Now it's worth noting that the jump I did here, if you can't do this jump, then you can just press this button and then just climb the vines the casual way and then go to the button like this. And then get the camper this way. And moving on. Now we're just gonna walk a bit. And now we're gonna jump on this platform over here. So this is a pretty tight jump, but it's just a double jump. So you just wanna do a double jump and then you can ledge grab. So let me just show that a few more times because it is a pretty tight jump. And you don't want to walk off too much. Oh, maybe you actually want to. Huh. Maybe it's not that hard. Okay, you don't want to walk off too much. Okay. If you do a spin, then you won't grab the ledge, so don't do a spin. I'm not sure if you can get it with a jump spin jump, but I I would recommend against it either way, because getting it with a double jump is probably the easiest anyways. And then you can jump up here. You can actually, the easiest way is probably a double jump spin for this one as well. Okay, I think there was also another way up there, so you can use yeah, you can use this to jump on top of these robots and then jump up here. That's another way you can get up here. And then you want to go like this. You can also just use this, of course. And this jump is also pretty tight, and I recommend doing a jump, spin, jump for this one. So let me show that a few more times. You can also do a double jump spin, but because you can't ledge grab during a spin, this makes it a little bit more difficult in my opinion. So just do a jump, spin, jump. And then we get the camper, and we get the sock. And then we get the spatula. And then we go to the swamps. Alright. Now we're gonna go to the right. Use the leaf to jump over there. Damage boost, why not? Here's a sock you need to get. And then we want to buy this clam. It is possible to do Kelp Forest without buying the clam, but that requires either an insanely difficult bash or Kelp Forest backwards. So I'll show how to do Kelp Forest backwards later to prevent buying the clam, but for now just buy the clam. It is a very expensive clam though, so Kelp Forest backwards really saves a lot of time. Don't forget to get the camper, by the way. And now we're gonna get a sock to the right. So this jump is pretty tight. And if you don't want to do the sock, you can just do it casually. So you can go all the way around like this. And when you get the sock, we move on. Now here's a pretty cool damage boost. So I just messed it up. This is really not that difficult. I just I forgot the timing for this. It's a pretty lenient damage boost. So all you want to do is hit it, wait a few seconds, and then do a bash slam to get as much height before he damage boosts you. And then out of the damage boost you want to do a single jump. And the angle is really not that important, so you might... Oh, I just did the wrong input. So you might try to get a good angle to get close to the spatula, but an angle like this is still sufficient to get over there. And yeah. If you miss it, then it's probably best to drown, but then you still have to do quite a bit of platforming all over again. So it's pretty bad to miss that one. And then we... Oh, of course, now we split for the swamps. But I forgot to mention that you split for the woods when you go from the woods to the swamps, obviously. Anyway, now we're going up to a pretty difficult section, but it's also pretty cool, and it's still not that difficult. So don't forget to get that sock. And now we're jumping on this head, and then this jump is kind of weird here. But you want to jump to the side of this rock, and then you can just climb it from the right. And this looks difficult, but okay, maybe not spin that. Anyways, there are a few ledges here that you can jump on. I'm just experimenting now, by the way. It's probably best to do a full double jump and then a spin, and then you always land up here. But I just wanted to show that down here is also a ledge that you can jump on, so you don't need to get that high, so you can also go a little bit lower, like that. The double jump spin is also the fastest. Anyway, this is really not that difficult. Just jump on this rock, and then jump on the next rock. And this is the weird part, we're going to clip out, like this. So, for some reason the hitbox there is a bit weird, and you could just jump out like that. I don't know why, but yeah, let me just show that a few more times. But you wanna kinda just approach the ceiling from different angles until you magically clip through the ceiling like that. It's pretty lenient. You just gotta try a few different things, and if you get stuck, then maybe you need to approach it from a different angle, literally. So, like, this is not gonna work, so I need to get out and try again. And sometimes you actually get stuck. It's probably not gonna happen right now because it's pretty rare. But if you get stuck, then sometimes it helps to do a bash, and it can actually get you out. Anyway, it's really not that difficult. Just keep trying until you clip through, basically. Now comes the more difficult part. We're gonna jump on some invisible platforms. They're not actually invisible, but they're hard to see. So, first things first, you want to face the fish in the background, the fish rock, the one that I'm looking at right now, and then do a double jump spin. And now we're standing on a rock, as you can see. These rocks have one-way textures. You can only see the textures from one side, which is why they look invisible. But these rocks are what you want to stand on, because if you're not standing on a rock, then you will slide down like this. And what you want to do is you do the double jump spin towards the fish to get on this rock, and then you want to turn the camera so you can actually see what you're standing on, and then you want to walk across the ledge like this, and then walk in this direction to get on the next part of the ledge, and then walk over to this vertex over here. So this is where you want to be. So let me see if I can show you that one more time. From the beginning. So you do a double jump spin, then turn the camera, and then walk across the rock, across the ledge of the rock. And when we're here, we're going to do the next part, and we're going to jump on that rock over here. So that's just, you just do a double jump spin together over here. Not that hard. And now you can turn the camera to see this rock a bit better. And then we're going to jump towards that rock over there. So this is where you want to land, what you want to land on. So this rock you can actually see. And you want to face towards the wall when you fall down. Because this is a very thin ledge you're standing on. Anyway, when you're over here, you can just jump towards the camper. And then you've got all the campers. So yeah, that's how you get that camper. And now we warp to Power Crystal Crisis. And we warp away and then split. And now we're going to get the final spatula in the swamps, which is the one that I'm facing right now. So down in the swamps, I think it's called. So you go over here, then there's a leaf here that you want to jump on. And this is a camper that you want to get. There we go. And then you want to press this button. And now a time challenge starts, and within that time you need to go towards the cage. And yeah. That's about all there is to it. Although there is one thing I will mention in a second. So that's how you get this spatula. Now, when you go over there, make sure you don't go this way. Did you hear that sound effect? I'll play it one more time. So listen carefully. That sound effect means that you failed. So I'll show you what happened. If I go to the right here, and then go to the cage, then you will see that the cage is actually closed. As you can see, the cage is closed. So there's a trigger. There's a trigger on the right here that closes the cage. So that's why you want to go left to avoid the trigger. Anyway, after you get this one, you want to warp to find all lost campers and then get the camper spatula from Mrs. Puff. So yeah, that's all there is to Kelp Forest, except for Kelp Forest backwards. So I'll show you now how you can do Kelp Forest backwards. Do I still have a save state for that? Oh yeah, I do. Nice. Okay. So I want to save this one. Okay. So Kelp Forest backwards. So the original method of doing Kelp Forest backwards was found actually before cruise boosting was even found, which is to jump from this rock, do a one frame triple jump out of damage boost, and then do pixel jump or something. I've never actually succeeded at it. I've just saw someone do it. It's really difficult. Do not do it this way. It is the fastest way though, so if you want to beat the world record, this might be worth practicing, although this isn't in the world record currently. But it's a really difficult strat. Do not do it that way. The way that I do it is as follows. You can climb this wall. You can climb this wall from here. So what you want to do here is from here, you want to do a full double jump spin. Okay, I walked off the Tiki, which was my mistake there. So then you can, for some reason you can climb this wall. So these are very strange pixel jumps that you're doing there. So let me show you a few more times. The angle that I'm approaching the wall is very important here. And you want to do a full height. You want to get as much height out of your double jump as possible. So a full double jump spin. And then you will usually get it. Notice that I don't say always, because I don't believe the strat is consistent. And now we're just going to walk across some invisible walls. I'll explain the visual cues for this in a second. And then you can enter the kelp finds from the back. So that's pretty cool. This grants you 3 spatulas and 1 pretty slow sock. I don't think the sock is a good option, so probably just want to get the 3 spatulas. You get the 2 fine slide spatulas and the 1 sock on the fine slide and the 1 spatula at the end of the kelp caves. Now notice that when you enter the kelp caves from the back and grab the spatula, you can also warp to the beginning of the kelp caves. And that means that you can do the swamp backwards as well, which is why you do not need to buy the clam anymore. Anyways, on to the next way to the next way to do Kelp Forest backwards. So before that, I obviously need to explain these invisible walls. So this texture here actually has a hitbox. However, the texture is transparent at the top. So this is where you need to stand on this ledge, and it's a really thin ledge, as you can see. But there is a visual cue for it, luckily, so you use that to line up where you need to jump. So you want to jump a little bit to the right of where the texture ends. And then at some point you want to just move to the left, and this is actually a really big invisible wall, so don't be scared for this one. This one is really big, so you can just jump on that one. And then just jump in this direction, walk in this direction, and I like to keep my camera pointed downwards, because at approximately this point or something like this, you want to jump over to the invisible wall on the other side. And this one is also very big, so You also don't need to be afraid of falling off this one. So those are the visual cues. Anyways, whoops. There's actually this camper over here. This is one way to get this camper, to get it from there. But obviously, that's very stupid because it's slower than actually doing it casually. So the reason that is it slower? I think it is faster, but it is a lot more difficult. However, you can actually jump back from there. So that's another way to do Kelp Forest backwards, is jumping on the wall from here. I need the camper to be in the right spot for that, because we're going to jump on the camper onto the wall, like that. Yeah. It's a very tight jump, and I've heard that on Xbox the hitbox for the camper is actually smaller, which makes this jump even tighter. It is still possible on Xbox, if I recall correctly, though. And when you're on here, you can double jump, spin, and get the gate. So let me do that one more time. So just like that. So the optimal Kelp Forest backwards strat is to do that wall climb, and then over here, and then get the camper, and then do this strat to go to the gate. Well, actually, the optimal strat is still the one frame, probably, but yeah. One more method of doing this. One more method of doing Kelp Force backwards is VMS. So you can just do any VMS setup and then shoot into the air and then get on this platform. Now the fastest VMS setup for this, because you only need a very small jump, is in Gulagoon actually. So you want to go over here and you want to use the umbrella here. Let me quickly check. Yeah, okay. You want to use the umbrella here. You can actually use this umbrella to get VMS. This is also explained in the tutorial in the description. So that was wrong. I think that's right. Let me just try it. There we go. That's one way to do it. So that's VMS, and that's the fastest setup to get here. Yeah. I think that's all there is to say about this Kelp Forest backwards. So let's leave Kelp Forest with a beginner route number of spats and socks. And then it's time for Flying Dutchman's Graveyard. So we're gonna warp to the on top of the Chum Bucket spatula. And then we split again. Alright, get this sock. We're getting close to the end now. Only one more world until we can go to the final boss. And there's a bit of grinding at the end, so yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna do most of this casually. Now there is a cutscene here. If you go too far to the left and you're getting a cutscene, you can skip that by just going more to the right. So yeah. Now, oh, this might actually be perfect. Let me try this. Dang it. Yeah, nice. Okay, so that's the optimal strat to get here. However, it's RNG based because the truck is usually not in a spot where you can do that. So if you can't do that, or if you don't want to do that, then you just want to do this casually. So just hit the button, get shinies because shinies are important, and then do the wall jump like this. Alright, and now we're going to get this sock. So for this you want to go on top of this and then jump towards the sock. That's the easiest method. And now I want to mention the goo tanker ahoy spatula. So this one is only possible on GameCube and therefore not included in the route. However, I think it's pretty easy spatula, so I want to include it for all the GameCube runners from the category. So let me see here. Yeah, this is what you want to do. You want to clip through the goo and just get the spatula. Now, so this is only possible on GameCube, as far as I know. I think it is not possible on PlayStation, and I'm certain that it is not possible on Xbox. So that's a really fast spatula if you do it well. However, doing it well is pretty difficult. Well, actually not difficult, but you need to know a few things. So let me show you. If you just jump down here, oh, okay. You want to go over here first, by the way, because that prevents you from drowning. If you just try this, oh, yeah, okay, I just accidentally got it. If you just try it, then you will drown. But if you first go here and then try it, then it will bounce you back up. Anyway, you need to be on the right goose cycle in order to be able to clip through. So I just use a visual cue to determine whether I'm on the right goose cycle and when I need to jump down. So I see a certain visual cue now, which shows that I need to jump down. Well, jump, of course, it's just walking down. The way you walk down is also very important. So you want to be in this spot, and then go right and then down left. That's how I do it. So right and down left. And that's how you clip through if you're in the right goose cycle. If you go right too much, you go the trampoline. If you don't go down enough, then you don't clip. If you go too far downwards, then you don't clip. So it is kinda, it is a little bit precise. But if you fail it, it's not a big deal because you can just try again. Unless you didn't first walk over here, of course. So now the visual cue. I use the goo over here as a visual cue. So this one vertex that I'm looking at right now. So notice the line in the goo right here. I use this vertex to determine when to jump. So this vertex is going up and down and up and down. And when it is at its lowest point, that's when you want to start walking down. So look at it right there. And that's the lowest point, right there. So that's a good point. And usually it will first go very high and then very low. And that you can use that as a visual cue as well. So let me wait for a few. Okay, so this might be another good one. Yeah, there we go. That's the visual cue that I use. It is not fully consistent, but whatever. Anyways, I'm assuming that you don't use that spatula because it is finicky and only possible on one console. So let's continue with the rest of the route. It is pretty easy though, so if you're on GameCube, it's definitely worth considering. It saves a lot of time. So this is some pretty cool movement, and then we go to the shipwrecks and split. Alright. So there's one optional sock here that I did not include in the route, which is this sock. It's a really fast sock, as you can see, because you can just get it. But you need to know the jump spacing. So if you're having trouble with this one, then maybe just not do it. But the jump spacing is you want to do the first jump as late as possible. So you want to walk off as much as possible for the first jump. So like this. And then you want to do a full double jump and then a slam when you hit your head. Like that. But I'm assuming that you don't get that sock because it's a pretty difficult one. And you don't need it. Alright. And then you want to get this spatula. If you miss the spatula, you can still bash into it, by the way. And then we warp to shipwreck bungee. And then we just do the rest of this casually. There's a jump you can do over here to save some time, because then you're at the right cycle to do this instantly. So that's pretty sick. So it's a few things to mention there. First of all, this jump over here is not necessary. Let me get back there. Where even am I? Oh, camera. Anyway, you can just do it casually, so you can just walk around here and then do the wall jumps from here. It is important that you, for the first one, you want to go as high as you can, and then for every wall jump, you just want to tap jump. You do not want to input any analog. You do not want to give any analog input. So let me do that one more time. So you want to jump as high as possible for the first one. And then you want to do tap jumps for the rest. Don't do any analog input here. And then when you're up, you just do a jump, spin, jump to get... One second. You can do a jump, spin, jump to get up here. But obviously you can just walk around and it's much safer. And only a little bit slower. So yeah. The cycle thing is pretty cool though. So if you can do this pixel jump, let me do it one more time. So you can go to the left here, and you can jump on here. It's kind of a weird hitbox. So you can jump on here for some reason. And you can use that to get the perfect cycle. But yeah, I recommend just going around like this instead of doing the jump, spin, jump. Alright. And then we split and go to the cannons. This is a pretty straightforward segment. There is one jump that I will talk about though. Of course that happens. Okay, so just spin this button, because for some reason you can spin that button. And then watch out for the chuck, and you jump on here. So there are a few things that I want to mention about that jump, for which I will briefly kill the chuck. So you want to stand on the tip of the lamp. As you can see, there's a little tip, and you're quite a bit higher if you're there. Height is actually the biggest problem with this jump. If you mess it up, then you really can't make it, as you can see. So to get enough height, you want to be on the tip, and you want the platform to be as low as possible as well. So as you can see, the platform is moving up and down, and the platform is always also slanted. So you want to jump on the down part of the platform as it is at its lowest. Now it's not that precise, so you don't need to worry about it that much, but if you don't pay attention to it at all, that might become a problem for you. And then we just do it again. And remember to watch out for the chuck. And now we actually don't need to hit the button in the chest, because we're not gonna go to the Flying Dutchman fight, because that would switch us to Sandy, which is not allowed. Alright, and now we only need to get the sock. This is a pretty slow sock, by the way. So this might be one that you want to remove. So the fastest strat is to jump, double jump spin from there, but it's kind of tight. But yeah, that's the fastest strat. If you can't get it like that, then another thing you can do is jump on the rope from there, and then just do it like this. And if that's also too difficult, then you can just go over here and then climb the rope like this. And that's all for the Flying Dutchman Graveyard. So now we only need to finish a few things. So let's go to Mr. Krabs and split. Okay, so this is the perfect number of shinies. You need to have less than 9500 here, or else you will again soft lock the duping. And you want to have more than 9355 to be able to buy the 2 consecutively. So now I'm buying one. And then I can hit the Tikis, get some more shinies, and then buy the next one. Okay. And now you want to get this sock. And you want to enter Shady Shoals. And then you want to get the TV sock. Now, some things to mention about the TV sock. Every time you hit the TV, it changes channel. And there's one channel that spawns the sock. And it's RNG whether you get the right channel. So you wanna like just repeatedly hit the TV until the sock spawns. Now, one thing to mention is that if you're standing here, then you hit the TV many times if you spin once. So very often you will get the sock in 1 or 2 tries, even though every channel switch is just a 1 in 10 chance. So yeah. And now we enter the Murmur Lair, and this is a really cool segment because we are only getting 1 spatula. Epic. So the only thing we're gonna get in this run is this first spatula and the sock to our left. Okay, so here you want to do a double jump and a ledge grab, and that's a pretty tight jump, so you might fail. And if you fail, then you can back it up here. For some reason there's a slant here, which you can pixel jump on, so you want to do that. And then jump on this rock, like this. And then you want to try again here, with the double jump ledge grab. And that's how you get to this spatula. Alright, when you get the spatula, we're going to get the sock. And that's all we're going to get in Murmurland. And this is really simple, just double jump from here, and then we're going to get the sock. And that's it. That's all we're going to do in Murmurlair. That's it. I do want to mention though, the rest of it is possible to get more in Murmurlair, but it is insanely difficult. So this is the big problem. Here's a huge gap that you cannot just simply cross a Spongebob, and usually you will roll a bowling ball against this thing to get across, but of course we can do that. So with a VMS you can actually get on the wall there and do some pixel jumps to get over to that platform in the middle, and that only grants you a sock. Now if you want even more, the sock that you can actually see now, by the way, so don't see it, we do see it. Hey, that's pretty funny. Anyways, from there you can do a very precise damage boost and then a 1 frame bash to get to the next platform, and then you need to do another damage boost with a more than 1 frame bash after that to get to the next platform, and you need to do these 2 consecutively because there's no checkpoint. So obviously not beginner friendly, but I just wanted to mention that it is possible to get past this. But even still, that just gives you 2 spatulas and 2 more socks. And there is one more spatula you can get, but that's also very difficult. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. I'm not going to teach you that. We're just going to go do some more grinding. Hey, that's fun, right? Defeat King Jellyfish and split. And then we go here, we go to our familiar grinding spot. Our favorite part of the speedrun is grinding shiny objects, of course. So let's do this. Wait. Oh, this is not the right one. Ah, shit, I messed up. I need to get the... I don't have a save state. Oh, nice. This is a good save state. I need to get the sock again. I messed up with my save states. Anyway, so this is just the way, like previous. You just go to the grinding spot and then you grind for shiny objects until you have 11999 shiny objects. And basically you just want to have less than 12,000 or you will softlock again. And you need to have more than 11,955. And after that you warp to Mr. Krabs again. And then you get the last dupe spats. And if you get perfect shiny count, you can actually just get this shiny and then get the next one. So that's pretty fun. And now we have all the dupe spats. By the way, split when you're done grinding and you warp to Mr. Krabs. And then we're at the trading split. So after you get the dupe spats, we're going to get the sock spats. And here we just trade in all our 50 socks. And then we warp to a wall jump in the bucket. And then we get this spatula. You can just do wall jumps to get that if you can't get this bash. And now notice that we have 76 spatulas. So as I said earlier, you can choose any spatula you want to remove. So the hardest spatulas, in my opinion, are campers and art. So if you want to make it as easy as possible, I recommend removing one of those two. And the slowest spatulas, I think, are the sock spatula and the... what was it? You have the sock spatula and yeah, you can remove a duplication spatula because those are pretty slow as well. Anyway, now it's time for the climax! The Robo Spongebob fight. Split. Now there are some cool strats you can do here. This is fun. This is a good climax. Okay, first of all I'll show you the easy strat for this. You can just hit it like this. And then you can hit the next one. Now it is possible that he hits with the wrong arm there. So I just got good RNG. It's actually 50-50 with which hand he slams. And you want the second hit to be with the other hand. Wow. Come on. Oh my god. Oh, this would be so bad in a speedrun. Oh, finally. Okay, and then you can hit this one. And then you want to hit Plankton. And now you're going to do Robo Spongebob Squarepants. And this is also taught in the Any beginner tutorial. But this is what you do. And that way you can skip the entire fight. So, yeah. Let me go over that real quick. So it is taught in the Any beginner route tutorial. But you want to have you need to be at one of the at the starting platforms. So this is the platform that you start at, and this is where you want to do the jump. And you want to stand here. It doesn't need to be very precise, but you need to stand somewhere around here. And then when he does the karate chop, you want to go over here. And then when the platform moves up, you want to jump. And that's basically it. Now the timing of the jump is by far the hardest part. So you can use audio cues because his karate chop makes sound. So you can use audio cues to time your jump. But yeah, this takes some practice to get down. Anyway, now I want to mention some of the cooler strats. So there's a... Okay, so this is an RNG strat. If he chops to the left, you can do the following. And that way you do both of the hits on Spongebob at the same time. But again, he does need to hit to the left, so it's still an RNG strat. But it's a really cool strat, so yeah. What is Plankton doing? I've never seen him done... Wow. There he is. There we go. Then you need to hit Plankton, obviously, and then you need to do Robo Spongebob Skip again. Is this even called Robo Spongebob Skip? I don't know. I just messed it up. Anyways. Oh. I don't have a good save state. Oops. Well, I'll do this again, I guess. And I jumped too early. So the timing for this jump is actually pretty difficult. You might be able to come up with some... Oh, maybe you can use the voice line from the fish to time that. That sounds like a good idea. What the heck? I think you can use the fish line. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that works. Alright. Come on. Plankton is being annoying. There we go.
That does it. SpongeBob is back in the fight. Bob is back in the fight. Bob is back in the fight.
This is a pretty awkward angle. There we go. Okay. That's the first phase. Now comes the epic phase, where we do commonly known and easily recognizable clip. So there's a funny story behind this one. So let me tell you the story. So originally there was a way to clip into the brain that was really inconsistent, and basically you just stand in a spot and then try to move around randomly until finally you clip through the floor. And it is possible that you get stuck and you soft lock, so you have to reload the level. So this was absolutely awful, and the speedrunners often lose minutes to this clip. But then someone came and said, hey, why don't you use my clip? And then we were like, what are you talking about? And apparently someone had another way to clip in, but he never posted it because he assumed that it was already known. And for that reason, this clip is called commonly known and easily recognizable clip. So let me show you how we do that. So first of all, you want to hit this Duplicatotron and damage boost down, like this. Now there's actually a faster way to damage boost down here, but it requires good RNG. So if he spawns the tartar bolt like this, then you can use the tartar bolt to jump down, and it saves 2 seconds, but that's not necessary and requires practice. So, and I forgot to split, by the way, when you end the first phase. Now we jump to this platform, and now we're going to go onto the brain. So here we go. And you can ledge grab that. I think you can also do it without the ledge grab. Let me try. Let me give it a few tries. Yeah, okay, you can do it without ledge grab, but I recommend going a bit more to the right so you can consistently ledge grab. And then you can pixel jump up here, and then up here, and then up here. It is kind of weird to do these jumps, but it's really not that bad. You can just keep trying them until you get them. And then do not destroy this fuse. If you destroy a fuse, then the gate closes, so you get stuck inside. However, there is one gate which you can clip out of, so we're going to go to that one, and it's this one. So now we're going to do commonly known, easily recognizable clip. So as you can see, door closed. It's also shorter. It also has a shorter name, by the way. Some people call it well-known clip because it's shorter. but I think it deserves the full name, commonly known and easily recognizable clip. Because as you can see, this is just open. So you can't walk out of here because there's a one-way texture. But this does kind of influence the hitbox a bit. So we're going to clip out from here. So the way you're going to do this is first you want to turn the camera because that makes everything a lot easier. And then you want to jump to the left and jump up here. And from here you want to bash. And then you're up here. So let me go over that again. So turn the camera, just jump to the left, jump up here, and then do a bash. And then you're stuck here. And now you want to move to the right. And basically just input some random movement until you actually get here. That's that's basically the way you should do this. When you're at this spot, you need to watch out, because if you keep trying to move and all of that, then it is possible that you move too far. And I think, yeah, well, I'm getting ahead of myself now. If you go too far, then you're stuck here and you can't get back up there. And from here you can't clip. So if this happens, the only thing you can do is reload the level and try again. So try not to go too far. And when you're here, what you want to do is you want to face the brain and do a single bash, and then you're in. And that's it. Now sometimes you need more than a single bash, and so if a single bash doesn't get you in, just bash again. Simple as that. So yeah, just bash and you're in, and that's it. So let me go over the whole thing one more time. So turn the camera, jump to the right, do a bash, and then try to walk to the right by, oh, that was fast. And now do a single bash, and that's it. So a few more times. So jump to the right, and try to, wow, that was fast. Holy crap, okay. Another time. Oh, bash, try to get over there. This is more usual, that it takes this long to get in the right place. There we go, and then we bash. And then we need to bash again. Am I in the wrong spot? No, okay. Yeah, there we go. That's commonly known and easily recognizable clip. I mean, who doesn't know this clip, am I right? So, you might notice this spatula here, but do not grab the spatula, because that does not count as completing the game. So, actually getting the small shell rule or not spatula does not count as completing the game. You need to destroy the 3 fuses in the brain. So just jump down here and hit this fuse. I think the visual, yeah, this is better for the tutorial. Anyway, then you just hit this fuse from behind, and then you can jump on this ledge here over to the next fuse, and that's it. Split when you hit the last fuse. Now that's it. I think I mentioned everything, so thank you for watching, and good luck speedrunning.